Oh, I didn't know. There we go. I gotta turn off the music. Bigots and bigettes. Oh my goodness. We're going to space. We're going to space. You gotta do the Fred Durst voice. Chocolate BIPOC starfish. And the alien pro flavored water. What is this? What is this? Bank Picker says, I took a break from scamming for this. All right, we got Jay Dyer joining us soon. We're going deep. We're going deep tonight. I had to start a little bit early. I had to get that raid. Our friend Jay, big shout out to our friend Jay. Jay Dyer, the hot dog flavored water. Here in Wigxanthium. You got to represent Wigxanthium when you got Jay Dyer coming on. But all right, here we go. I got my setup. How you guys like it? How you bigots like it? It's been a long time since I've done regular stuff. But as promised many times in the past, but for real this time, there will be much more regular live streams. I got my dark tannin oil. Literally nobody gets that reference. One person in the chat, please tell me that you get the reference. One person. Fred Durst's voice. Aliens. And Jay Dyer. Cooking Jay Dyer in the hot dog flavored alien water. Slow boy whiteboard. What's up? We got everybody in the chat. I had to start a little bit late. Well, I started a little bit early, and then I had to start a little bit late because I had to go make my coffee. I had to get properly caffeinated. This caffeine's got to get caffeinated. I think I already had a couple nice cups of coffee today. So this is my third. We're going hard tonight, folks. We're going cosmonaut. I've got cosmonaut level caffeination happening right now. Cosmonaut level caffeination. Oh, now Jay wants to look at that. Jay thinks he's gonna. All right, no, actually, there we go. Jay's ready. Jay's ready before I am. He had to go eat his chicken nuggies. Jay ate his chicken nuggies, and he's here right away. I thought I was gonna have to banter with you guys and just do Fred Durst's voice. Fred Durst's voice. Let me get the link for Jay though. So, but we're gonna have fun tonight, guys. We're talking aliens. We're talking space. We're talking abductions. UFO abductions. This is kind of an interesting topic to me, though. On the reels, this is what actually started my journey to Wiggartha, and ultimately to Wigxanthium. No, but no joke. The whole alien abduction thing. I was reading about this stuff when I was just a youngin. When I was young, dumb, and full of the next line in that film, which it just feels gross to say. It's a great line, but I'm not going to say the line. If you get the reference, you also get bonus points. You get to become an honorary member of the channel if you know what that's from. The greatest film of 1991, 2? When did that come out? All right, I got the link here for Jay. Going over here to Jay in the chat. Thanks for the raid, Jay. That was awesome, dude. I'm glad we made that happen. Shout out to our friend Jay Dyer. Everybody in the chat knows Jay Dyer because pretty much everyone just came here from Jay Dyer's channel. So if you're not already subscribed to this channel here, there's a fun back catalog of me and Jay just absolutely mogging each other. And it's not fully determined who's going to win this mog. This mog fest is about to happen with Chief Executive Diva of the Internet, Jay Dyer. You have to say his name you have to say his name too many times when you're debating Jay Dyer. I've realized that's the kryptonite. I've actually realized that's the kryptonite. So yeah, we're talking about UFOs. We're going to talk about Whitley Strieber and his book, which unfortunately I don't have the cover. The cover is crazy. Communion. Actually, the cover for this book. The cover for the book Communion by Whitley Strieber is more influential than the actual content of the book. And the content is really culturally significant as far as kind of framing the mythos of alien abductions, so-called alien abductions, and all of that. Jay, you have the link in your Twitter right now, by the way, bro. But the book itself and the content of it is not as good as the cover. Let's see. The cover art actually had this. This was the cover art. That alien. Actually, no. That's my cover art. That's my beautiful Wigxantium artwork right there. Sometimes coffee's so good you just want to smell it. You just want to smell it. You got a good geisha. You just want to smell that thing. But that alien right there, that alien, which is just looking sus, looking so sus, looking sultry. I mean, Whitley Strieber. We're gonna get into some of the quotes here from Whitley Strieber's book. Whitley Strieber saw that face and he was like, He's like, that's a lady alien. So that's what we're talking about today, guys. Whitley Strieber, who was kind of a science fiction writer, fantasy sort of book writer, somewhat fledgling novelist in the 1980s. And he was working on some books and was hitting writer's block, right? And he discusses this a little bit in the beginning of Communion, when he had certain experiences, which when he describes them, interestingly enough, they just happen to take a step back a sentence. When he writes about this in Communion, it kind of starts to blend. He starts to blend like fantasy and fiction in reality. Here we go. I'm admitting Jay Dyer now. Sorry, multitasking here. Bras and sisses in the chat. Here we go. Oh no. Jay Dyer, you hear me? No, I'm not hearing you yet. Can you hear me? Over here. We got Jay on the screen. You guys know, they know he's here, so they're not all going to rage quit and mass flag my channel for spamming them that they get to see Jay Dyer. But we can't hear you yet. I just can't hear you. It says that you're unmuted on your thing, so it should be. I feel like I should be hearing you, but I'm wondering if it's on my end. If it's on my end, I think I could. Okay. Yeah. I tend to default to blaming everything on my life on Jay. All right, this is way better. I just got to talk to this guy. I bet this guy's going to agree with everything I have to say. It's just me here now. It's just me here, folks. The big boys don't want Jay Dyer to enter the chat, folks. This is Alan Watt. Going back to the 2000s, conspiracy culture. There's all a big club, folks, and Jay Dyer's at the top of the club. Jay Dyer in the top of the pops. I'm not in the club, but Jay Dyer is, folks. I still don't hear you, brah. Let me see. What if I'm wondering if it's just because I'm using... What's going on here? No, I still cannot hear you, Jay. Sorry. We're going to get this, though. It says that the audio is coming through on Google Meets. That's what's very strange. So this is working in Google Meet. So it's not your fault. This is not... I can't just blame Jay Dyer like I do in most problems that I have. Let me see if I can come and join this meeting. Switch account. I'm going to see if I can just switch my browser and use a different browser, and that'll probably be working. All right, let me see if this works. I'm going to enter in with a different thing. If I have to restart the meeting, forgive me. So everybody in the audience, the thing is, you can't keep a diva waiting too long. He's got people waiting. There's a whole machinery that's waiting. The Jay Dyer machine cannot stop. So he'll literally just go to like Tim Pool or something, right? Like he could just jump on. He could just show up at Tucker's studio anytime. Tucker's like, "Oh, please, Jay Dyer, let's do it, Jay Dyer." Let's look here. Oh, there we go. I got you.
Can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, you eat like a BIPOC queen. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, now, but you know what they see? They just see L. Ron Hubbard looking super sus.
That's funny.
And I feel like I should keep it that way so you can finish your meal, and they can just hear you eating and see. They're just gonna see it. All right. Well, are we gonna start the debate or not? Because
you're pro alien abduction. That's the debate.
Yeah. Well, I think we should all aim to be like, dude, I'm not giving away my position. You're going to have to hear me out, bro. You're going to hear my opening statement. It's going to be 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
And then you get a 6-minute rebuttal, and then I get as much time as I want. Okay. This is how it works here. I mean, I don't know if you've been around these parts.
Are we live or are you just yapping?
Bro, we're live. We're more live than live. We're like,
I don't get to see you in this whole exchange. I just have to.
You want to see me? Oh, hold on. All right, yeah, I got to turn my camera on. Use camera. I like how Google, when you come into these things now, Google's like, would you like to give me your social security number? Like, would you?
I actually forgot that,
for added security, would you like to send us a photograph of where you're at?
Remember back when it was really easy to live stream with Google live streams, like Google Meetup live streams? That was really easy.
You remember when it was really easy to just sign into an account on anything without like 9-factor authorization? You have to take like a blood oath every time you switch accounts. Like when I want to get my sock puppet account and start slandering Jay Dyer in his comment section, and he's going to ban me and I'll have to make a new one. But yeah, I have to. It's crazy what it wants. To send us $2 super chat.
Email, you now have to join the Freemasons.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jay's always trying to get join anyways. All right. Awesome.
So is this just going to be me looking at myself the whole time, like usual?
Bro, don't you see me?
No.
Wait, what? All right. Oh, now you get to see me in all of my. All right. How do you like my new setup? I got my new desk finally.
I've been bathed in trad, so I like it.
My setup's bathed in trad. Dang. That.
I'm impressed.
Are you being ironic?
No, I'm being serious. I know that you're not used to people being honest and authentic in your life. You're surrounded by a lot of deception and abuse, but I'm actually just being authentic.
I feel like there's something coming now. There's like a really serious.
That was it.
There's like a Kenny Powers moment where it's like, you know what's coming next. It's just going to be really funny or just really off the wall. Okay.
All right. I gotta make sure I look good. I'm just looks maxing real quick.
I mean, we can tell. I gotta say. I mean, you've said nice things to me, and I'm gonna say we can tell you've been looks maxing.
Did I? Have I? I'm not sure.
I mean, some would say that you're one of the top looks maxers in the world because, I mean, first of all, one of the overlooked parts of looks maxing is you have to make it look effortless. And so the way that you looks mask is nobody would know that you're even handsome when they look at your face, right? Nobody would have any idea that you're even like 100% human when they look at you. But then when you spend enough time talking and you're able to use your NLP skills to tell us how handsome and how good looking you are and how much you mog, then we start to realize. So I think an underrated part of it is just basic NLP brainwashing, alien abduction type tactics, which is what we're talking about today. I'm just gonna read this book.
Are you done? So.
Oh, this all right. So.
Are you done?
I'm here with Jay Dyer. We're talking about aliens and Jay's mean.
You actually took notes on a Whitley Strieber book?
I didn't take notes. I put stickies in to make it look like I'm like you.
You were literally underlining like bullshit from Whitley Strieber. Like that was like awesome.
Like bro, this freaking sentence is so awesome. This is such a sick paragraph.
Mind, dude, the way he talks about dancing the cha-cha with the aliens, like that freaking blew my mind.
All right, so this is how it's gonna be.
You really underline stuff in Whitley Strieber?
No.
I sent Tristan some comic books, and it comes back underlined with a bunch of tabs in it.
Oh, stop saying that stuff. Why do you have to be this way?
Tristan's got a bunch of goosebumps underlined with tabs in it.
Oh.
I mean, that goosebumps was blowing Tristan's mind.
But dude, this book is actually hilarious. When you read this, you just realize like this was kind of a bestseller back in 1986. This was legitimately this was like this was top of the pops book back in the day. I was born in 1987. Jay was born in 1947. He's an actual baby boomer. But I was born
at Roswell, dude. I was born at Roswell.
He wasn't even born. He just manifested.
I manifested at Roswell in 1947.
He was just covered in sticky notes. He was like, instead of like ectoplasm, it was just sticky notes. And he was just like, you have to unmute, bro. You're going to have to unmute, bro. He was already verbal as just like a little J faking alien fetus. Just like, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're going to have to unmute.
I like how your impression of me is nothing like me at all. You can do the Muslim.
That's baby alien Jay, bro. What are you talking? That's
do the Libiano
canonical character in the J Dyer universe is baby alien Jay.
So
the chat gets it.
You know this is a movie, right? Have you seen the movie as well with Christopher?
Yeah, Walken? I watched half of it the other day with Christopher Walken.
Did you get to the part where he dances with aliens?
Yeah, I've seen that part. I've seen the YouTube video of that part. That's the only good part. The movie it's like Christopher Walken's worst performance. It's so bad.
It's fun.
It's fun bad. It's not really that frightening, but you can see how if you were a little kid and you saw that book back in the day, it'd be scary. But I read this book, dude, when I was like 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how my parents actually let me, because I would go. There's not sticky notes, by the way. I would actually go to the is our audio better now? Is Jay loud enough? He can just yell if you guys want. I can just have him yell. I'll go to the library and I'll go to the weird section where they've got all the like alien books and cryptids and UFOs and like
you're thinking of the VHS store in the back room. I think that's what you're talking about, the weird section with the large VHSs in the back room. You know what we're talking about?
Are you done?
Yeah, done.
Are we going to be mature adults and have this debate now?
Talking about Whitley Strieber books? Yeah, we'll be mature adults.
Debating the place of Strieber. But
dude, when you were 10, you want to be mature adult? Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm not trying to brag. That's super cringe. I read this when I was 10. It's like my parents were not neglectful parents. They're actually really cool. My parents were they were looking out for me. I remember getting this book, and I didn't like get it and think, "Oh, this is amazing. This is also true." But I was listening to Coast to Coast and stuff on AM radio back in the day, Coast to Coast. I'd always go to the little section of the library that had all the UFO books and stuff, and books on Bigfoot, anything that was kind of weird, they would have in one section. And so I would go there and I'd just read all those books, everything I could find. And I don't know how I don't remember actually getting the book, but I remember reading the book and just thinking, this is such a strange thing that this book even exists. And I reading it now, looking back, and the guy's getting full on like sodomized by these aliens. Like, spoiler alert, you would have never known. You'd have never known from the thumbnail. There's butt stuff in space, guys. We're going full butt stuff. There's hyperspace butt stuff. And it's butt stuff all the way up and all the way down. So we talked about Crowley and kind of the connection between ritual magic and the occult and science, right? Scientism in the Jack Parsons stream the other week with a shout out to Anthony Westgate. That was a really fun stream. We went kind of deep on like 20th century occultism and the Crowley being the godfather of all this stuff, right? I mean, Crowley was really influential in all counterculture movement. And going back and reading this book again is really funny. So first of all, one of the first things that you notice when you start to look at the alien abduction phenomenon is almost all of this stuff is known through hypnotic regression, right? All these encounters are recanted to us through the lens of a shrink, and almost all of the people that were pretty prominent in the 80s and 90s, and I think even going into the 2000s, one of the common connectors is a guy called Bud Hopkins. So when you read Whitley's book, he's talking about, his as a kind of a fledgling writer, was writing these books, and he somewhat minimizes it. But when you look at it, he was writing kind of sci-fi adjacent books, and the project that he was working on had to do with the end of the world and basically the world blowing up because we have an ecological crisis, which is not far-fetched for any sci-fi or kind of fantasy book that is being written post post atom bomb, basically. So this idea of man destroying everything is kind of in the common parlance of most people. Most artists have this idea, this very postmodern idea of, the great power of the atom bomb destroying everything, completely changing the entire landscape and ending everything in the flash. And so he's got that on his mind, and he's working on these books. And then he says, well, we go out to our cabin. We've got a cabin in the woods, and at this cabin, I have a weird experience. And he describes the experience that he has, and it's not really that strange, right? He's got one of the weird things, though, is he's got this couple that are with him, and he describes the guy as being this guy. He says he was almost 300 pounds. He said he was 300 pounds, or like upwards of 300 pounds, and a black belt in karate. So he's hanging out with like some straight up like weirdo Polish Nephilim dude who's I think his name is Igor or something like that. And then his wife is also a writer. Both of these people that are there, Igor or whatever the dude's name is, and this other woman are writers. And they're going to go hang out in this cabin with Whitley, in this cabin he's had for a little while. And he has this weird experience where he basically gets kind of a fright in the middle of the night, and he doesn't really know what to think of it. So then he gets a little bit freaked out, and he ends up, it's very strange. He says, I remembered that a man named Bud Hopkins had been mentioned in a book as a prominent researcher in the field. He starts to get interested in UFOs, right? Like he had this strange experience, but he doesn't really remember it all. So this is something you see all throughout this, which is, in my opinion, really indicative of possible involvement of some sort of like mind control / occult techniques that are overlapping with the phenomena. I'm not saying that some people aren't just making stuff up, that some people aren't just delusional. I think those can both be true, while at the same time there actually being some sort of a reality to the experience, because you see consistency across the board with all of these people talking about their experiences with what they think are aliens, right? You have any thoughts on that? Just like the kind of intro there to Whitley Strieber's ideas. You're muted still.
That's good, because there's a lot of details that I don't recall from the story. Jamie and I watched the movie probably 3 years ago just for fun as a joke. But so some of these details are kind of coming back to me, and that's good. I think you mentioned the butt stuff. That's relevant because, as Jamie's been covering a lot of her podcasts lately, a lot of these ancient techniques of ritual initiation, the temple cults, they kind of already understood the way that you could traumatize and initiate people in the ancient world through these kinds of ritual butt actions. And when Crowley is drawing up the degrees for his OTO, he specifically includes that around the 10th or 11th degree, that there's this initiation that pertains to, the anus, and he calls that he says the eye of Horus is far superior to the mouth of Venus, which is the vagina. So for ritual magic purposes, he believed that was some, mystical, spiritual way to go about initiation that's even superior to, heterosexual male-female sex. So in other words, it's just a representing of the ancient pagan demonic religions that is an overlap that we see with the so-called alien abduction phenomenon that also overlaps with SRA. So
Yeah,
a lot of people,
the satanic ritual abuse.
yeah, SRA stuff has a lot of these overlaps. I know you know that, but just for the sake of the audience, one of the things that really stuck out to me when I started looking into abductions, and probably around the same time as you, like I know it was in the 2000s when I was super into like, oh yeah, I'm gonna check out, all the Atlantis books, and I'm going to check out texts on, books on, Philip Corso and the UFO phenomenon. I got really into that for a while. I got all the shelf of that up there. And I think what you end up realizing,
Richard C. Hoagland.
I did have Hoagland's books,
Yeah.
Dark Mission. I had all that. But I've got probably 5 or so books on like UFO abduction type stuff. But you start realizing there's a lot of weird patterns that maybe suggest that, I'm not saying nothing's happening, but in my case, I started doubting that it was like extra biological entities. And I started thinking this just overlaps so much with what I'm reading about, satanic cults and how ritual cults work. So there's some commonality here. It's also similar to ancient religious mind control and initiations. Long story short, that's, I think, a good way to start out understanding this, is the religious element. And you mentioned, shit, I just went blank because I've been talking for a long time.
No, that's such a good point, man. Yeah, no, if you ever need to take, I wasn't listening to anything he said, but I'm sure the chat got something, whatever, maybe useful from something you said. So, how about the first page of Whitley's book? It starts out, he's got like this kind of weird poetic prose thing that he wrote, which it's actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. I remember what I was going to say. One last point, Tristan.
I like that. Yeah, do that whenever you. Yeah, yes.
This is talk to the hand.
Feel that.
Talk to the white hand.
There's power in that. That's like when Tate does this. That's like your version of that, dude. That's high value stuff. I like. Yeah, thank you.
Our friends Brett and I want to say Brett and Jermaine now, Flight of the Conchords, but our friends at Psyop Cinema. They initially proposed this thesis that I think you might be referring to. I don't know if you've watched it, but they have done a lot of research into Whitley Strieber and his background, and I'm
going to have to get them on at some point.
They actually think that he might have been in an MK Ultra sort of thing.
That's what we're getting at here. I think there was really some abuse that was happening with Whitley. So I don't want to, I don't think mocking abuse victims. I'm not like here to mock some abuse victim. I think there's some serious trauma that these people.
This isn't my stream. This isn't my stream.
Yeah, no. Jay is here to mock. We're doing good cop, bad cop. I be nice, and Jay mocks victims.
Well, no, on my streams, that's what we would be doing.
You make victims. Stream. Jay actually does alien abduction streams on Kick. Like he full on does.
I have a whole channel where I just mog on abductees.
Just like, oh, you got doodled by aliens? Look at my gray alien mask. Does this make you feel traumatized?
Admit it. You were a little bit into it.
Just bullies them. No, but I think that's the most complete thesis that you have. Is I think you have an overlap of mind control and satanic ritual abuse stuff, which we know those worlds have quite a bit of overlap. In methodologies and even in the people that are involved with them in certain ways. And then you've also got you've also got like these weird shrinks and psychiatrists and the kind of diddling with people's minds and under hypnosis and hypnotic suggestion. You've got the aspect of possible drug use in order to induce a hypnagogic state, and the combined targeted use of technology, including like VLF, ELF type weaponry and stuff. All this Cold War tech that was being developed during the MK Ultra years and after, electronic warfare, drugs, even bringing in aspects of ritual as well to it, and you see this with guys like Strieber. I think that's the most potent theory for what we have here. I don't believe he's delusional. I think people who've been through stuff like I don't think he's right in his assessment of it.
Can I ask you a question? Just because I don't have a position, I'm open to it. What makes you think that he's not delusional? What would you argue?
I think there are aspects that he shows aspects of delusion, but I don't think he's making up everything. So is what I'll get at. So I don't to say like we're all delusional one way or another, man. It's not a cop out, but we all have blind spots. We've all got, we all deceive ourselves. Like in Orthodox anthropology, we all consider ourselves highly limited in our our perceptions of our own sins, and our perceptions or can be skewed. So I think when somebody goes through a traumatic childhood, they often are unable to. They can sometimes be unable to discern fantasy and reality.
Mm.
So I think he often slips into delusion, and I do think there's an aspect of delusion, but I don't think he's ultimately a paranoid schizophrenic, and that this is all the ravings of a deluded mind. I think
Right.
there are certain experiences that he had, and I think he's also been under hypnosis many times with really sus people. And
Yeah.
this guy Bud Hopkins, who he came upon, was essentially a connecting figure for all of these abductees and their shrinks to go under hypnosis, and he was consistently dropping really suggestive statements to these
Yes.
people before, during, and after hypnosis. And if you know anything about the human mind and how it works, if you just have a basic grasp in how like psychopaths work, when you're reading something like this, when you're reading Whitley Strieber's Communion, there's red flag after red flag popping up with especially this Bud Hopkins guy. I don't know. Bud might be a true believer, and he's just reinforcing this paradigm which he believes to be true. But these are very vulnerable people who believe they've been abducted and taken and terrified.
And to be clear, yeah, let me ask you a question to be clear. So, and Bud Hopkins is a real guy that has done this type of regression
Bud
therapy.
Hopkins is an abstract artist who was pretty big in the 1970s and 80s. And what Whitley first says about Bud Hopkins is, I remembered a man named Bud Hopkins had been mentioned in a book as a prominent researcher in the field. The name had been familiar to me. Ann and I are interested in art, and Hopkins is a well-known abstract artist. So somehow he already knew about Bud Hopkins from the abstract art world. I mean, this dude makes like total weird kind of, art.
But he's also a hypno regression guy.
Well, he's not the guy that does the hypnosis. He's the guy who collected all the tapes and brings people to certain psychiatrists to do the hypnosis. So he himself says, well, I'm not a hypnotist, and I don't want to tinge and taint your perception of the experience too much. So he tells Whitley, don't read up on the UFO phenomenon too much. But Whitley also, he's constantly contradicting himself. He also says, well, I knew about the Betty and Barney Hill case, and I knew about abductees, and I'd seen close encounters, but also I had no prior experience that would lead me to connect this experience I had with this phenomenon. And also, and he's really trying to let you know that the hypnosis didn't bring everything to the forefront, that he had these things that happened, and then after hypnosis, he was able to access more of the memories. But then as you go on through the book, and he's getting more hypnosis sessions, this is, it's written in a really weird way. For this guy to be a writer, a fiction writer, you can tell that he's, he's not the greatest.
I read another book of his. I never read Communion, but some years ago, there was this boomer dude that lives in my hometown, and he used to come into the place I worked, and he was really into New Age stuff, but then he was thinking about converting to Catholicism, and just an oddball, and he loves Whitley Strieber, and so he would bring me Whitley Strieber books. And one time I got kind of bored at work, and I was reading his book on the tall whites, the Nephilim. So Whitley Strieber has this other book, fiction book, about meeting the tall whites.
He ain't never talk about Yakub though. He didn't even talk about who made the white man.
Well, the tall blacks made the tall whites, but
we like the Yakubian Nubians. That's who we rock with.
But it was not that great written of a book, so I recall, and I get what you're getting at here.
Yeah, so. He'll contradict himself paragraph to paragraph.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, didn't you have an editor? I mean, this was like a mainline book, and this basic mistakes that an editor should be helping him take care of. I don't know how it got through without some heavy editing. But it's weird because even with Bud Hopkins, he tries to tell you, oh, like I didn't know about this guy. Oh, but also I remembered the name because I knew him as an artist. He was collected by Guggenheim and Whitney, and so he, excuse me. Alien probes come from my nose. So he said, I found his name in the phone book, but how could I call him? What a stupid thing to have to admit. Little men, flying saucers, how idiotic. So he calls up Bud Hopkins because he'd already heard about him. But he's trying to tell you the whole time, well, my perceptions were not influenced by the culture that already existed at all. So it's really strange how he says this, but the book starts out with kind of a hypnotic suggestion, right? It starts out with this very strange poem. It says there's two There's two little starters. There's a poem that he writes that's got some weird hypnotic suggestions, and then there's this. The very first page. When you read this incredible story, do not be too skeptical. Somewhere in your own past, there may be some lost hour or strange recollection that means that you also have had this experience. The book is about forming a new relationship with the unknown. Instead of shunning the darkness, we can face straight into it with an open mind. When we do that, the unknown changes. Fearful things become understandable, and the truth is suggested. The
So
enigmatic
it's
presence.
like preemptively suggesting
Bro, I mean,
that
this is
maybe
this is some occultic stuff right here. And then the enigmatic presence of the human mind winks back from the dark. So there's a whole worldview that's depicted to you in the first page, and it's telling you also, like, yeah, you probably already got abducted, bro. So he starts getting into this idea of missing time, and it really, he comes to believe after several hypnosis sessions and being exposed to Bud Hopkins, which he doesn't disclose all his conversations with Hopkins. It's clear that Hopkins is guiding him in every one of these sessions. He's even allowed to ask questions. And then Whitley straight up says, well, Bud promised to only ask a few questions and to be very careful to not add suggestions in those questions. But then you see the questions he asks, they're hyper suggestive, and you can tell from the types of questions he's asking that he has a specific goal in mind, and his interests are really tainting the process altogether. So Bud Hopkins is not doing the hypnosis, but he's assisting like a magician's assistant kind of guy, sitting there in the room, which really was weird.
This made me think of something because I'm trying to place this as to how I think this might be working. And if you've watched the streams that we've done over the years on like Mirage Men, if you recall in Mirage Men, the documentary highlights in certain decades different figures that were chosen to be these sort of disseminators of the alien mythology or the alien story. And they would actually pick and profile psychologically weak, defective, narcissistic people. So they had back in the 70s, it was that guy named
Lazar.
Bob. Yeah, I was going to say, so Bob Moore, and then in the 90s they had Linda Moulton Howe, which was part of Coast to Coast. Whitley Strieber, also part of Coast to Coast, and then it's nowadays it's the Bob Lazar guy, and they all have these commonalities. But in the documentary, Richard Doty admits that yeah, we actually picked these people because like they believe they're special and they're chosen, and he even gives the impression that they're like intentionally disinformation engines. So now I'm starting to think, oh, well, that's what Whitley is.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he was on Coast to Coast back in the day.
Yep.
This guy's depiction of the alien and what it looked like has become basically the canonical, this is what you're supposed to believe aliens look like, right? And there's an entire mythos that they've built around this, which Whitley Strieber even hints at in the book in his speculations on what these aliens are. Like, are they some sort of an echo from the future? And you'll hear Rogan's, Rogan didn't come up with this, but when he talks about aliens, he'll always bring up like, oh, the Greys, man, they must be, when you think about where we're going and evolution, which is clearly true, right? We're obviously evolving to need less muscle. So they're like really wiry little soy boy aliens, and also their mouth gets really small because they're just going to be like, they're just going to be sucking the soy slop straight from their little sippy cup. Like they're getting that drip sippy cup up to the face, so their mouth's really small and their eyes are really big because they're, the environment is changing and they're not in the sun anymore, and they're like maybe living underground, and it's just like evolution, bro. And it's so you get this projected Darwinian kind of materialist slash, I mean, it's obviously it's actually not materialist. Like the worldview of Darwinism is kind of this like strange nominalist, like a Jim Bob's been pointing this out.
It's actually spiritual materialism or mystical materialism, in fact, because we just did a series of episodes. We're filming a show with Pavel Shalin. He's the Russian Peugeot. He's one of the biggest Russian YouTube guys, and we've spent 3 times in Nashville now, 3 weekends filming. We did it yesterday in Nashville, a series of podcast discussions. He's a super smart dude. His main focus is political philosophy. So he goes from an Orthodox perspective. So he goes really deep into this very question that Tristan just brought up. And I thought he had a really good account of how even Marxism and these types of modern materialist philosophies, they're actually, and this would include Darwinism, they're actually, he calls them, I think he says they're like spiritual materialism, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Father Seraphim Rose and Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future that's a
Did you
great
say
book.
that?
He talks
like
about how there's kind of this. He talks about there's no real materialism, right? There's always there's no true materialism because then you're collapsing everything into like a single mode if you're going to kind of go that direction. But that's a really good point. So just to kind of move the narrative forward and like what Whitley describes his experience as. So he meets Bud Hopkins, right? He says, the moment our interview began, Hopkins explained that he was not a therapist, but he could put me in touch with one if I wanted that. He then got the facts from me that I've recorded there. Then a few paragraphs later, he says, I left Hopkins a house a happy man. He'd said that judging from his experience, the October events may have been caused by the same agency that was responsible for the disturbance of December 26th. So he had two little events. One of the events was basically just a loud noise in the night, and he had kind of a dream and some sort of a night terror. So Bud's already putting in his mind, like, all right, this experience that you had where you possibly experienced some entities, right? This strange, almost demonic, like fairy entity thing that you experienced here, which is probably aliens. Well, this other strange thing that happened, probably connected. So he's clearly tainting the patient here already in Whitley. So then he goes on for a little bit and talks about some other nonsense. And then in the next chapter where he's going to go under hypnosis, he says Bud Hopkins, he's got to get a therapist, right? He says it could not be somebody who believed anything in particular about visitors or the disc phenomenon. The ideal therapist would have an open mind. I could have a mental problem. It might or might not have components unknown to science, or it could be just what it seems. So I could be crazy. This could be some sort of like, a schizophrenic psychotic break I'm having. He posits that I was open to be shown to be insane, and that would actually make it easier. Like if I was crazy, that's maybe better because I'm not going to be, I don't have to. I've got an out, right? Let me just move my. Notice that you're bigger on the screen. I have to mog you more, make me really large, make J really small.
I had nothing to do with any of this.
Put like a soy face over. Nope. Don't have a soy face I can put on Jay. All right. So then he has a chapter on the uncertain mirror. So he says basically like, he says, I chose not to approach any hypnotist to whom Hopkins had made previous referrals, despite the excellence of their credentials. So Hopkins starts telling him, hey, go to this hypnotist, go to that hypnotist. He says, no, I don't want to go to those. Next paragraph. Hopkins remembered that Dr. Donald Klein of the New York State Psychiatric Institute had expressed interest in the phenomenon and appeared to be open-minded about it. I looked up Dr. Klein's credentials and found them to be superb. If he would take me on, he was the ideal man. So it's like one paragraph to another, total contradiction. I don't know how this gets past an editor or just like him proofing his own stuff. He goes to this guy, he goes under hypnosis, and what do you know? He starts to get major memories that pop out. And through several hypnosis sections, he slowly kind of unravels in his mind and figures out that, well, my whole life I've been having this experience. And ever since I was like 10, 12 years old, I have been abducted by these visitors and absolutely traumatized and terrified by these horrible creatures who are taking me, putting probes in my, putting needles behind my ear, physically torturing me and interrogating me significantly and probing the innermost depths of my soul to try to gain total control of my soul. But also, maybe they're our friends and we shouldn't judge them because maybe they're more advanced than us and they're like future wizard humans, or maybe they're like some hive mind tech thing from the future, or maybe they're like some sort of a spiritual thing, but they can't be the Christian demons because I reject Catholicism.
Hey, slow down now. You ever see that movie Interstellar? You ever seen that?
Is that movie, is it a structure that's kind of like a flat circle?
It is. That's that movie, though, where it's like the aliens is me in the future, and I come back and touch myself on the shoulder. Remember that?
You touch yourself only on the shoulder.
Only on the shoulder. That's what's in the movie. You remember that?
All right.
If you think in Interstellar, oh, maybe this is aliens, right? And then you get to towards the end, and it's like, no, it's Matthew McConaughey 500 years in the future. Oh, yeah,
Bro, giga
exactly.
brain.
So the
Giga
aliens are
brain
just
writing.
Matthew in the future. We're all Matthew McConaughey in the future. That's it.
The stupidest cop out. Is that what's his face? Is that Nolan? Is that a Nolan film? That's
Yeah.
such a Christopher Nolan cop out. Dude, that's like that's the worst thing that all the whole postmodern lit thing led to is like Fight Club type stuff where everything's like, but it was really just your mind.
It was in
and
your
we're all
head the whole
one.
time, dude. It's like Mario 2. It's like, it was a dream the whole time, dude.
Oh, it is a dream. Oh, we just woke up and it's like, dude, it's like
What if
a
you
dream.
woke up, but you were still in the Matrix? And then when you left the Matrix, you were still in the Matrix.
Such hacks.
This is another layer of the
hacks. That's yeah, that's the worst. This is the absolute worst. But yeah, so Bud Hopkins consistently tainting his thoughts and stuff. Like he just jumps in and starts asking him questions. Let's see. Whitley says it's so unexpected. This is the last thing I would have thought would have come out of me. And what's weird about this is why would someone come from a flying saucer and invoke that kind of impression in me? What possible reason would they have? And then Bud responds to him. This is like during hypnosis, I think. Well, that's not to find out now. That's speculation down the road. What kind of that's some like straight up manipulation, strangeness right there. He's, if you're just reading a narrative, a fictional narrative, and a character says something like that, where the character is implying ultimate knowledge in this realm of mystery, which the character is experiencing, and says, "You'll learn." Don't worry, young Padawan. Like we'll teach you.
We haven't written that part of your script yet. We'll figure that out later.
What?
It's like he's saying, "Hey, don't worry, Whitley. We haven't written that part of your script yet."
No, I was joking. I was just playing into the post hypnotic suggestion. Wait, what? But and then Whitley is writing this in the book and not realizing how sus it makes Bud Hopkins seem. I think that's one of the standout things with this book is how clear it is that Bud Hopkins is very interested in Whitley's perceptions and in managing that. And he's got an entire catalog of tapes from these other so-called abductees that he then later shows to Whitley. So Whitley has his first sessions, and then Bud says, "Well, now you can listen to the other hypnotic regression sessions that I've collected, and I've got hundreds of them." So then Whitley starts listening to
helping
these.
to form Whitley's story of this account.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a strange Clockwork Orange type plot, and supposedly is nonfiction. This is really Whitley Strieber's story, but it's basically kind of a low tech version of a brainwashing of a man into believing a certain narrative about experiences that he had. But what I found really interesting too, you'll like this. This is finally getting to the good part that Jay's gonna like. Guess what it is, chat? Everyone in the chat, guess what is coming up here that Jay is gonna be so excited about. We've got the Cosmic Cosby Crowley booty play going on.
Nice. Now I understand why Cosby's on there. Cosmic Cosby.
How you gonna have alien abduction butt stuff without Cosby sprinkling his magic dust?
Yep.
You gotta get Cosby in there. So, all right. So he's in this post-hypnotic regression, or he's in this hypnotic session where the hypnotist puts him under, supposedly, right? And the whole thing with hypnosis is really odd, and there's always been quacks and strangeness around the entire hypnosis phenomenon. I mean, this is like a pretty important part of 20th century mind control tech lore, is the role of hypnosis. How far can you push a person in a hypnotic state to do something that they would otherwise not do, to believe something they would otherwise not believe? And that's kind of one of the big questions of MK Ultra. They were using, of course, drugs, hypnosis, and then you've got other, Ewan Cameron, who's using extreme psychic driving and traumatizing of children. And Strieber's story really lines up with a lot of that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on hypnosis?
Esther Brooks's essay that's cited in the DSMV, which is where he claims that he can create the hypnotic couriers. That's a classic MK Ultra paper. And that's the one where he says, "Oh, I embedded this information in the altars, and then I created the keywords." So, you can doubt that, but I mean, it's cited in the literature like this is accepted as something plausible.
Bro, come on. We're trying to hypnotize the audience. You guys in the audience, forget he said that. You cannot doubt any of our opinions. You have to take them as total fact. Do the hand thing, please, Jay.
I mean, I can start singing if you want me to hypnotize the audience.
No, do the hand thing because they have. Yes, all right. You must everything we say. You cannot
This
doubt.
is the hand that you talk to when I'm not ready to hear your voice.
You're going to space, and you are all chosen. You're all the chosen ones. Well, he literally gets told, "You are chosen. You're the chosen one." They tell him.
This is why I was saying that. I remember this. This is the pattern that you see with these unfortunate, dupes that are chosen to be kind of the engines of the disinformation of the whole alien deep state narrative they want.
Yeah. So you're the chosen one. You have a special message for mankind. This is a consistent thing that these abductees start to think. You're chosen. You're going to tell everybody. You're going to reveal all the secrets of the deep state. You're going to save the world from the bad aliens, and you're going to maybe introduce them to the good aliens. And we're going to create this new world. Or the narrative can sometimes be you're going to be a part of this new seed civilization that humanity is going to destroy itself. It's obsolete. It's over. The nukes
We're undergoing ascension right now. We're undergoing ascension, and I'm chosen to lead us into 5D consciousness out of the.
So and this stuff around 2009, 10, it was all Project Camelot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if very many people in the audience remember this. Project Camelot was run by this guy Bill Ryan and this lady Carrie Cassidy. Jay had a huge crush on Carrie Cassidy. Yeah, Cameltoe Cassidy, Carrie Cameltoe. He can't stop. Would you want to take a moment, Jay, to just think about her and lust after her?
If you want to play her intro song, "I'm a Jaguar," you can. I'm a Jaguar. I'm a Jaguar. That's her song.
Yeah, there was. I can't pull it up because it might be what if it's copyrighted by Carrie, and then she takes my stream down.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for the super chats. Everybody who's sending super chats, 95% of those go to Jay. That's contractual obligation that Jay gets. Actually, like 95% of all of my income for just being his friend. He calls it tithing. See, all right. That's where it goes. So you guys, know that it's going to a good cause. It's going to help fuel Diva J Dyer's extreme.
What were we talking about?
Diva J Dyer's extreme espresso habit, his extreme espresso addiction, and to pay for the help, he calls her Jamie, his live-in espresso maker, who's always there on call. So yeah, make sure to shout out Jay in the super chats there. Is that Gurdjieff? What is that? No, that's the Quran. This is like a Gurdjieff.
When that Down syndrome guy was doing the Quran readings and he was going. So I just.
Oh, now we're just making fun of disabled people, Muslims.
Who said they were disabled? Not me. That's your diss.
You get it? Hey guys, because it's not the Down syndrome, it's the so anyways, speaking of Gurdjieff, I brought up Gurdjieff, but he was actually, so Whitley says I didn't have any prior religious beliefs that would have led me to this, but as you're reading the book, he's just Easter egging all his prior religious beliefs that led him to this, he rejected Catholicism pretty young. Couldn't believe in Catholicism because he was too advanced and they were a little bit bigoted and they didn't believe in like science and all of this. And he didn't like the nuns when he was a kid. He says, reading some sermons of the 13th century mystical philosopher Meister Eckhart. Mm-hmm. So he was reading Meister Eckhart, and he also was a member of he didn't just read Gurdjieff, he was a member of the Gurdjieff Foundation.
Oh, wow.
And he was really well read in Gurdjieff and Uspensky. And I think, wasn't Crowley significantly influenced by Gurdjieff? I mean, Gurdjieff was kind of, wasn't he a little bit before Crowley? I know you're a Gurdjieff expert.
when I did the Cambridge Companion to Western Mysticism, we read most of the entries, and we did a discussion of the Gurdjieff entry. I don't recall if Crowley was, I wouldn't be surprised, but one interesting element that came out of Gurdjieff was not only was he suspected of being some intelligence operative,
Yes.
he was also, if you look at what he tries to do in this his weird system, is he tries to get you to almost kind of dissociate and create a bunch of different versions of you. And he thinks that somehow this is like a way to like master a bunch of different versions of yourself to be, not bound to one version of yourself. It's just really weird stuff. But as I was reading, I'm like, this actually sounds like a manual of like helping people dissociate.
Isn't that funny when you start? And this is what
I know.
the alien
Yeah.
abduction phenomenon is as well, right? It's almost like this hypnotic induction to disassociation,
Yep.
not believing your past, and kind of this epistemological uncertainty that can lead to either psychosis, which is going to also lead to extreme suggestibility,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
you visiting some UFO related shrink who's going to essentially hypnotize you and kind of breadcrumb you into some strange cult beliefs about yourself.
This is exactly why the Collins brothers have been correct to connect the notion of worldview formation to alien cults, because of what a lot of these people are doing, particularly the people you're talking about, like with this guy with Whitley. It's like they're experimenting and playing with, how can I create and steer this guy into a worldview, and then create an alien cult or something like that that's an acceptable story that they'll buy into, that gives meaning to their life when they have a trauma and their paradigm falls. Now they need a new story to make sense of everything. That's where the cults step in when people are damaged and traumatized.
100%. Yeah, that was really well said. Shout out to the Collins brothers. We're trying to nail down a date, so I'm thinking about next week. We're going to try to get them next week and talk about some of this stuff with them. They're so fun to talk to, and they've got encyclopedic knowledge and recall about all of this stuff, and they wrote one of the best books where this subject is just one chapter, but that chapter is like 180 pages or maybe even 200 pages.
Yeah, like the alien section is like 300 pages.
Right? Like the alien section itself is massive. And that book is called Invoking the Beyond. And I forget what the subtext was on that. Invoking the Beyond, something about the Kantian Rift. But it's a brilliant book, and these are really brilliant guys. And I love talking to them, and they're going to come back on soon. And I hope they get to see this, and then we can maybe expand and flower out some of these topics with them, because they would be throwing out so many names. If I just brought up Bud Hopkins to them, they're gonna they'll spitball 1,000 facts that I hadn't even heard. And I've been exposed to this since I was 10 years old. Unfortunately, thank God I didn't have like some sort of a traumatic childhood where I could later project back, oh my goodness, my missing time. This must have been the aliens, right? Because this is what really started.
It's not too late. I could put you in touch with some aliens I know if you are looking for an alien cult that fits your proclivity.
I'm looking for a narrative. I'm looking for a traumatic childhood narrative that will both make me unquestionable as far as like any of the claims that I make, because I'm so fragile, and you look at me as being
suggestible.
Yes, yeah. So weak and fragile. So you have to just, you don't want to break this person. But then also to justify me having secret occult superpowers that I don't really have, and I can pretend that I have, and just like go on the interview circuit.
But you're the chosen one. Yeah, you're the chosen one.
Thank you. I know.
Disclosure Day. This also brings to mind Spielberg's recent Disclosure Day film, because
we're just belching. We're just going to belch.
The whole mess
the debate
was that the aliens are not the enemies; they're our alien saviors. You just have the wrong perception that they're demons. They're actually like our alien saviors.
100%. 100%. So you check out what the alien saviors do to poor little Whitley here. So he says, this is under hypnosis. He starts telling Dr. Klein, who is, you don't have to look at his Wikipedia to know.
Is this like remember the doctor in Rosemary's Baby, Saperstein?
Bro, this guy's he's hyper sus, right? You don't even have to look him up. And there's actually not much on him online. You can see the physiognomy. You can see the nameonomy, and you can kind of tell what's going on with Dr. Klein. And It's just so funny how he gets suggested by Bud Hopkins right after saying, I'm not going to go with any of Bud's psychiatrists. I'll find one on my own. And then, oh, yeah, Bud recommended this guy who's really good. I'm going to help. So he says, I just shot right up out of the woods in this chair, this thing. I just went woomph right up out of the woods. And then it has a little parentheses. Other people have reported this sailing up into the air also. I did not see what I entered. The hypnotist says very high. He says, yeah, you're telling me I went way up, right up. I must have gone up 100 feet, more than 100 feet, up past the trees, just like that. Woomph. It goes up past the tree.
Like
Here's
whoomp,
some.
there it is, or just woomph?
Yeah, whoop, day it is. Day it is. IZ, which is really weird. So he says it smells funny. It smells something like cheese in here. It smells kind of nasty, to tell you the truth. It's not clean. So it starts stinking. Like Whitley's like, wherever I am, it stinks. He straight up says it smells like sulfur. He says it smells like sulfur around these creatures. It's like, are you kidding me? Is this classic kind of, in this, if this happened in the 14th century, this is going to be described as, a demonic experience, an experience with demons. So he says, there's somebody here. There's somebody talking to me. Now she walks right past me in the front. She's wearing a tan suit. She looks like a little person made out of leather, sort of. I see the head real clearly, and you got it like, it makes you sick, kind of, because I don't know where this thing could be going. So he's like freaked out. He has no idea what's going on. When you read it, it kind of seems like he's been drugged, right? And yeah, so there are drugs that you can use, like, first of all, scopolamine, some of these other kind of weaponized so-called psychedelics that they were using in the MK Ultra experiment and experimenting with, like BZ was one of those. You ever read about their like experiments with BZ? BZ was like a terrifying experience.
I think it's mentioned in John Marx's MK Ultra book.
Yeah, it's a lot of the MK Ultra lore.
Yeah,
BZ would essentially create a state of panic and absolute fear with hallucination. So it kind of seems like this is what's going on with him. So things progress here. Here's Jay's favorite part. Jay like keeps sending me screenshots of this. I'm like,
no,
dude. Dr. Klein, what happened? Just a bang back behind my head, that's all. Not loud, just a bang. She's sitting right in front of me the whole time, just looking at me. They're moving around back there. I could sense them, but I was looking at her. She drew something up from below. Jesus, is that your penis? I thought it was a woman. Makes a deep grunting sound. That goes right in me. Another grunt. Punching it in me, punching it in me. I'm going to throw up on them. Pause. They began trying to open my mouth with their hands. What do you keep wanting to do that to my mouth for? I mean, this is horrible. Like, it's kind of hard to read at this point, because at this point, it feels like you're reading a ritual abuse survivor's depiction of a childhood trauma. Like, this is really sad, like weird at this point. So yeah, he thought it was a woman or whatever. And anyways, he goes on to experience him being, violated here. And then the next page, the woman's talking to him, and Klein just keeps bringing him on and on, asking kind of somewhat weird questions. What if we don't let you go home? But I don't know if she said that or not. So he says, I want to go home. She says, we can't let you go home. Or what if we can't let you go home? So he's just absolutely terrified. He says, the voice says to him, can you be harder? Can I be harder? Oh, Lord, didn't know I was hard like that. No, not with you around, I can't be harder. Voice, what would you like me to be? What would I like you to be? I'd like you to be a dream is what I'd like you to be. Voice, I can't do that. So, it doesn't hurt at all. Doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah, I'm not really here for erotic readings with Tristan. I know you wanted to do some sort of.
Jay made me read. You guys, that's actually Jay. All right. So, anyways, Jay wrote that.
Tristan wanted to do
Jay
Twilight.
wrote this description
We're not doing Twilight, man.
This is Jay's description. He wrote this. He told me, I want you to read my fanfic.
50 Shades of Grays.
Bro wrote this. He said, I want you to read. This is some fanfic that I've been writing.
Dude. 50 Shades of Grays. Come on, dude.
That was good. That was good. Straight up. We're going cosmic Cosby cosmonauts here. So it's really sick. So, anyways, yeah, the aliens just happen to be doing stuff like this, which lines up with ritual abuse, lines up with childhood abuse experiences,
and ancient religious initiation, temple prostitution practices,
which also just happened to line up with popular 20th century occultism Crowley stuff.
Exactly.
Um, it's
By
it's
the way,
been a
you know the OTO, like officially, a lot of the present day members and writers, they actually openly say what people are calling aliens is actually what we think Iwas and Lamb and these different deities that Crowley talked about. That's what we're contacting. Because
yeah.
you know about Lamb, obviously the
Some people and some of them do. I think OTO is a little bit less because Crowley's not around to dominate all of them now. It was kind of Crowley's like weird domination ritual cult, and he was always using them to harvest money and stuff. So I feel like they might have a lot of different sects within
they
OTO
do.
now. I'm not sure about
I'm just saying
the
that I remember
structure.
reading an essay from a Crowleyan dude online maybe 5 years ago where he was saying my take on this is that when we do our rituals, we're tapping into what people are calling aliens. Or he thinks they're the same
Yeah,
thing.
and that's what
Jamie
they were
has,
saying in the like the gods too, right?
yeah, Jamie
These are
has a book by another Crowleyan guy who the whole book is like, the aliens are the gods. So,
yeah.
yeah.
They're the gods. These are the spirits. These are the fairies. These are the
Mhm.
sprites. They have all these different names. They're kind of like the Masons, and that how the Masons are like. Well, Masonry is really just the actual true core of every religion. Like
Right.
Jesus was a Mason, and like everyone was a Mason. They say Muhammad. I'm sure they would say like, oh yeah, Muhammad, he was a Mason
Oh, yeah,
too.
for
Like,
sure.
everyone was a Mason. So in that way, these guys, and they've been saying that since like the 40s, right? Like when Jack Parsons would get up in these OTO meetings, he would go out on his little um what's it called? Not a porticature, but he had this kind of this little balcony that was hanging out over this large patio that had this massive ornate fountain, and naked women would go, they would dance around the fountain. There's like kids present, right? These are weirdos, man. They're kids present watching these weird OTO freaky deaky ditty Cosby parties. And he would do the invocation to Pan, which is a poem that Crowley wrote.
Right.
And he would do this invocation to Pan, and he believed that, yeah, these spirits, aliens weren't like a big thing canonically back then, but they really saw as like, we're contacting the gods. And
Yeah.
when he was out in the desert, he claimed that he met like a Venusian. So the idea of Martians and Venusians and stuff like that, this was pre-Grays. That was kind of it was all about Martians and
Right.
whatnot. So they would see like Mars being a god. They would see the land of Mars as having significant esoteric and occult meaning to them
Yeah.
in these kind of ritual magic
Well, let me
groups.
ask you a question about that because right now, Jamie and I we just did the first season of Strange Angel, which is the show
Nice.
based on the book I think you're reading.
I already
Are
did. I
you?
already did I have finished it.
No, I'm asking, are you doing Sex and Rockets or Strange Angel or both? The book.
We did. I just did that 2 weeks ago.
Which
So
one?
both Strange Angel and Sex and Rockets.
But just the books I'm asking.
Yes, both. I
Okay,
did
so
those. Yeah.
I've not read I mean, I've read some of Strange Angel a long time ago, but I'm talking about just what's in the show. So I wanted to ask you if
Yeah.
if this lines up with what you're talking about because you've read the book. I haven't. So I'm saying in the story, in the presentation in the season one, because I haven't done season two yet, but so basically he goes through, it's kind of slow because they spend this whole time with this fictional character that was based on a real guy, but they kind of changed him a little bit. I was reading about it. And he gradually gets Parsons into the OTO. At first, he's reticent, and him and his wife both don't like it. But
Yeah.
he eventually comes around because towards the end of season one, he goes out with that dude to trip a bunch of, I forget if it's peyote or I don't know what it's, some hallucinogen. He does a bunch of some hallucinogen. And while he's out in the desert, he has this sort of initiation enlightenment moment where he he thinks that the desert is the moon, and so he's on the moon and he starts talking to the dead. He talks to his dead dad, he talks to somebody else, and then he comes back from this hardcore desert hallucinogen trip and he tells his OTO buddy who's been trying to get him into it. He's like, "Oh, you're right. I was wrong the whole time. You're absolutely right. The OTO's got it. You guys have the real esoteric philosophy. And by the way, you gave me the breakthrough through that I'm gonna, create rockets with. I got all this from my, talking to the dead." But what's interesting is that although in this case it's the dead that he's talking to, that's his source, at least in the TV presentation of where he gets the idea to actually finally create the rocket. So I don't know how much that lines up with the book or not.
It's they took a lot of creative license there, and I can see why they would do that. He's less interesting than that. It's actually way less. It's better written than his actual life. In real life, it was the Grateful Dead. Actually, it was Jerry Garcia was on the moon. He talked with the dead. His dad was Jerry, and they told
That's
him.
Not true. Well, I will say
not true.
The way the show presents the OTO rituals is pretty accurate. I mean, they're not showing like actual orgy, but it does show like what goes on. So that part was fairly accurate. So
yeah, so when he got into OTO, he was gradual. He went to their parties at first, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
That's how it is in the show, yeah.
And then he just started reading Crowley, and then you don't really get much access to his inner world beyond, it's all testimonies from people who knew him that both of these books are written using. So it's less interesting than the show seems to make it, but still really fascinating. And Strange Angel, as I think, is a better written book as far as a bio for him. It's got more interesting stuff, because the other one seems to be written by an OTO insider who had a vested interest in keeping some of the details about OTO's inner workings out of the public. You don't want the muggles to know, basically. So he's like, kind of whitewashing certain practices. Whereas in the Strange Angel book, rather than Sex and Rockets, and Strange Angel about Jack Parsons, it talks about how like they used animal blood, and is really supposed to be human, woman, gender fluids, period blood in their ritual, where they make cakes of light. And it gets and the whole book's not about that. It's mostly a biography of a weird scientist, is kind of how it's presented. But the guy that got him into OTO, I don't know if they'll have this in the show, but in real life, it's kind of a crazy story what Crowley does to him. It's just full on psychopathic cult leader stuff. So the guy that was running OTO in LA, he gets cooed out, and Crowley coos him out by telling him, he writes to the people around him and is like, we have to tell him that he's a god. And this, like, the reason you can't run the OTO anymore, because this is no place for you, bro. You are literally a god. You're not suited for this. You have to go into the desert and tattoo 666 on your head and work out what it means to be this god that you are as a hermit with Jack Parsons' ex-wife out in the desert. So he gets rid of Jack Parsons' woman, gets rid of the other head of the OTO, and then Parsons takes over. So it's just a giant, like, it's just a bunch of people rage gooning into oblivion at each other, and like, they just drawing pentagrams.
Funny is in the show, you can tell like the way they present the neighbor that's getting him into OTO. The neighbor just wants to bang his wife. Like
that's most of it. Yeah. It's mostly just dudes wanting to get some of that gross
OPP,
that gross witch OPP, that witch cooter. And they're really gross people. But Jack Parsons, after he takes over OTO, he ditches his wife for the wife's younger sister, who was 15 when he met her and was 17 when he started like really pursuing her. So this woman, who becomes, I think is it Marjorie Cameron, or Marjorie Cameron comes later? No, Betty. It was Betty. So he gets with Betty, the younger sister of his ex-wife, and she becomes his magical priestess. Then L. Ron Hubbard comes, and they're supposed to be free love, right? It's all about free love. It's like, hey, you don't own her, bro. This is like, yeah, you got to get over your jealousy. It's just all this thrupled weirdness, right? Like, which later the hippie movement ends up completely embodying.
Yeah, we were saying that they're ahead of the time in the show, because the show's set like late 40s. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys might like the last stream I did with Anthony Westgate. It's a really fun stream, so maybe when you finish the show, you can watch that. But yeah, so then
I got halfway into it, and it's really long, so I haven't finished it yet. But
it's only 4.5 hours.
It's long for you.
Next time you have 4.5 hours. So yeah, he takes Betty, right? Takes Betty as his chick. Hubbard shows up. Hubbard just starts running through all the girls at OTO, and he's not even affiliated. Parsons falls in love with him. He's like, "You are so thelemic." He's like, "Will you be my new magical daddy?" And he's writing letters to Crowley telling him like, he describes Hubbard as having like red hair and green eyes. He's like totally in love with Hubbard. And I don't know if they put this in the show, but Parsons was like bi. He was more into women, but he was also, he thought it was really cool to be bi because Crowley was, Crowley was just like the Galians.
In the show, they've hinted that that might happen, but nothing happened yet because the guy in the show that's trying to get Parsons into the OTO, like, obviously is into Parsons, but he won't act on it yet. So,
yep. Yeah. So yeah, Hubbard comes in, and Hubbard's just like the guy, man. He comes over, he takes over OTO, runs through every single woman one by one there, then gets to Betty. Betty loves him and stops paying attention to Jack. Jack is in a rage fit and he's freaked out. And he starts trying to do magic rituals to like get his juju back. Like Jack Parsons loses his mojo because L. Ron Hubbard is just Tom Cooming with his chick in the house, like in front of him all the time. They're just like making out on the couch in front of him. He's just getting
so weird because if you look at L. Ron Hubbard, like that dude does not give off Mac Daddy vibes at all.
Bro, Giga Chad L. Ron Hubbard just comes and just takes Soy Jack. And you look at Jack Parsons, he's like classical handsome guy, right? Like he looks like
he looks like a movie star kind of.
Yeah, he's tall, dark, and handsome. You look at pictures later in the book where he's always got his shirt off. He's always just like tanning down in Pasadena, just like chilling in the sun like a lizard. But he starts to get he's getting some little B cups, going on there. Get some of that estrogen from his daily drinking. So yeah, Hubbard comes in and you look at him and he looks like he's like got 10% Down syndrome up in his genetic mix. He's got like a quarter extra chromosome going on or something. And he's a ladies' man, dude. He's got that red hair. I think they have something about redheads in the OTO, like fire crotch. Remember that? That was like a derogatory term kids would use when we were kids. Oh, fire crotch. But I think maybe there's some magical properties into the OTO with like redheads because everybody loved Crowley. And then Marjorie Cameron later on takes over OTO. Everybody loved her. And you look at pictures of her and she's disgusting. Like this woman looks like,
at all. It's really weird.
Dude, she looks like an orc, like a ginger orc. So yeah, Hubbard takes his girl. He's freaking out, has a mental breakdown, and starts doing crazy black magic stuff to try to get back his mojo. And his ritual, he's just like drawing pentagrams frantically and gooning in his room and like screaming gibberish. And then Hubbard and his girl, Betty, Jack's girl that Hubbard took, I think they were just messing with him because they took the room right across the hall. And then Parsons starts kind of going mad and does these rituals where like part of the invocation is like you have to take everything that you experience to be a sign from God, right? And this is leading up to his almost full breakdown. He basically reaches the edge of madness, and then I could just see Hubbard is like in the room across the way with his girl, probably like knocking on his door because he was having hallucinations of rapping on the door during his rituals, and he's like, the spirits are torturing me. Hubbard's just like knocking on his door, like, "Hey, retard, like you suck." So
the spirits
there's a very odd situation going on there.
The spirits are making him hear L. Ron Hubbard banging his wife.
Dude, it's the weirdest thing. So, and all of this is in the biography of Jack Parsons, which I just did an episode on. So everybody who wants more of that story can go watch the previous stream with Anthony Westgate. It's a really fun one. It's long, but we're talking about the connections between occultism, scientism, rocketry, and the kind of mythos of space in the 20th century as being this like realm of the other from which new mysteries will emerge and which we're going to figure out what our position in the cosmos is, which is really what Whitley Strieber gets at in this book too. So we're going to figure out the mysteries of the cosmic diddlers who've been messing with me, which kind of just seem like demons or a mix of the demonic and possibly some sort of intelligence. MK Ultra type stuff.
absolutely. And I'm just thinking of this weird contrast because this is kind of at the same time as, I mean, it's a little bit later, but I mean, if you look up, um, I'm going blank here. Who's the guy at the Hollywood A-lister in Gone with
Jay
the
Dyer?
Wind? No,
No, I don't know.
Clark Gable. Like
Clark Gable.
he looks like Clark Gable, which is weird because Clark Gable was like, the Mac Daddy of the 1930s and 40s. And then you look at L. Ron Hubbard, and it's like I'm still just mystified by like how how this dude was out gaming a dude that looked like Clark Gable. It's really bizarre.
Dude, I think L. Ron Hubbard was a legitimate high IQ psychopath, and he convinced Jack Parsons that he could be his channel. So he basically tells him, I'm going to be the guy who will go into a trance in your ritual, and I'll tell you what the spirits are saying. And he's a con man. So he's just sitting there. He's like, look at this retard. This guy like worships me.
Yeah.
So then he goes on. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, the spirits tell me that I have to take your chick, and we have to make a company. And with this company, I have to buy some yachts, and I'll go buy yachts over in Florida with Betty, and we'll sail over through Panama Canal. We'll bring them back here to California and sell them for a profit, and that's how we'll make money. So you need to put this. He literally told him this. You put $20,000 into this company, and I'll put $1,500. And he gives him all his money. He goes out there, buys 3 yachts, and just is like, later, bud. I'm just going to go hang out with your chick. And never comes back. Parsons has to fly over there and put a restraining order on him and never sees Hubbard again after that. Hubbard runs off with Betty. And later on, Scientology, when this story came out, Scientology, when like people started biographizing Parsons, this story comes out, and they have to, how are we going to deal with this? Well, they release a statement, and the statement says that, well, L. Ron Hubbard was working with the Office of Naval Intelligence. He was a high-level intelligence officer for the American government, protecting us from communists, and these communists had satanic black magic rituals happening in Los Angeles, and L. Ron Hubbard broke up a black magic ring that was under Aleister Crowley and being run by Jack Parsons, who they called Dr. Jack Parsons. He wasn't even a doctor. So they like fudged the details in this statement. And so he saved this young girl and broke up the black magic circle, according to the retcon from Scientology decades later, which is actually
interesting. Yeah. So I wonder if that's the source. And I wanted to ask you, because I've seen people just say we don't know, but what level of naval like intelligence did he actually have, or is that exaggerated?
I think it's going to be impossible to know because he was a blowhard and a braggart, and it's confirmed that he was in naval intelligence during the war. He was always trying to milk the benefit system and get disability. So he was constantly trying to get disability for his back pain. And so I think he was kind of a con man who was working with intelligence at some point, and probably had usefulness at times later in his life, perhaps, where they used him. Because clearly Scientology becomes kind of an intelligence cutout of sorts, and is at least perceived to be that way, which is why they were like, they were banned in Russia for a bit. I don't know, maybe they still are. And they were kind of seen by some foreign nations, which, are considered by our intelligence agencies to be adversarial. They saw them as being cutouts of the CIA. So I think Hubbard was... Yeah, I don't know. I see him as like a weirdo renegade character, like Leary, right? Like Leary was an asset and used by the CIA consistently throughout his career, but saw himself as being an independent agent working on his own accord, right? Like I don't think Leary was a cynic about the things that he claimed to believe. I think he was a true believer in like his nonsense of, we're going to expand consciousness. We're going to get rid of the prudes, all those Christian prudes and all these people. Well, we're going to blow minds. Right. I think Leary was a pervert who just wanted to hang out with his grad student chicks and get him.
Well, it's also important to note that according to multiple books and statements, Leary himself was a devotee of Crowley and saw himself as the successor to Crowley.
He said he was the reincarnation of Aleister Crowley and that he was here to finish the work of Crowley. Yes. I'm going to do a Leary stream. I'm going to do his biography, his autobiography in a few weeks. It might take me longer to read it because he wrote an autobiography called Flashbacks,
Mhm.
which is kind of fan fiction about himself. Much like
Mhm.
Hubbard,
Right.
Leary was a blowhard and tried to, later on, he wanted to edit his history a bit, and he kind of overblew. I think he over exaggerates his himself. Like, he was a megalomaniac, and
Sure.
this is really common with all these guys, like
All these guys are.
Parsons, Crowley, even like the contactee experience that we're talking about with Strieber here. There's a common thread of megalomania,
Yeah.
and this is an American thing, right? You don't really see this so much in, like, I don't know about Chinese counterculture, but I feel like with other cultures that are not this hyper individualistic project like Americanism, you're probably not going to manifest these weird singular megalomaniac cult figures,
Mhm.
because I think liberalism and classical liberalism and the American project, the Enlightenment project, kind of exalts that almost.
Well,
This
you
kind
could
of
see this.
solipsistic stuff.
Do you know about Bivolaru in Romania? His cult.
No.
Yeah, he's a great example of this. We did a podcast because he basically created a yoga cult when communism fell in Romania after Ceausescu. And prior to that, he had been actually documented as a very notorious sort of con man, likely figure by the Soviets and the communists. So he had this whole file on him when he was even a teenager about these proclivities. And then when communism failed in Romania, he immediately set up a yoga cult. It's the subject of a whole documentary, and he's I think he's the most famous like modern cult leader in Romania. His name is
Crazy.
it's worth what we did a people could check out the podcast Jamie and I did on
If
Evil.
anyone has a link, make sure to put a link in the chat. We got some.
His name is
some mods.
Bivolaru, and there's a really funny clip where he went on Romanian television and he did this thing where he's like, well, I have such intense yoga meditation powers that I'm going to demonstrate to all of Romania right now on TV that I can broadcast to you my love vibes. And so he like rolls his eyes back on Romanian TV, and for like 2 minutes straight, he's like, he starts grunting and breathing, and the guy looks like he looks like a total slob. Right? He looks like a total slob, like every pervert cult leader you would ever imagine. Like he looks like he runs a prawn shop, right? That's what
L. Ron Hubbard looks like. Yeah. But it's amazing because he was just, what they and Strange Angel does a good job at characterizing him, because they show how a lot of people hated him. So people who met him either loved him or hated him. If they saw through the facade and the act, they would give statements. Like somebody gave a statement, this later interview, and they said, I despised him. I could tell he was a con man. He was constantly scanning your reaction to see if you were buying into his nonsense. And he's just telling these stories constantly about like, I fought a polar bear, and then I wrestled with these, these got shot by arrows, and look at my scar, and he's just constantly rattling off these stories. But he was a weird kind of like autodidact type character who could learn things real quick, read people, and then he would type 3,000 words an hour and not need revision.
He would drink a gallon of coffee and type like entire books like nonstop. But
so he was like automatic writing, kind of tuning into some spiritual stuff. And
one thing I wanted to say about Bivolaru was that he's an example of and I'm not pro-Soviet, but the Soviets had these rules against any religion, and that would include all the cults. But once neoliberalism came in to these former Soviet countries, it's not an accident that you get the immediate explosion of all the cults. The same thing happened in Ukraine, Russia, the Baltic, all the areas that were formerly Soviet satellites. Once the Soviet regime fell, immediately it's all just cults popping off everywhere. I've watched tons of documentaries just on cult leaders in Ukraine. Once communism failed in Ukraine, it was like all of a sudden you got like, there's 20 Jesuses out in the woods, dudes that claim to be Jesus. It's crazy.
Isn't that funny? So as soon it really is kind of this Western American phenomenon. Now, exactly. I'm not saying that it's. I think part of it is grassroots, and it's the logical conclusion of the worldview of Protestantism taken to its logical conclusion. Every man a prophet, every man his own interpreter of Scripture. So it's this is the result. This is what you get. You get UFO, cosmic Cosby cults where, the aliens come and drug you and then do butt stuff on you. And then you say, oh, well, maybe that's me from the future coming back to enlighten me and help to show me like how to get beyond my bigotry or whatever. It's whacked out stuff. I mean, check this out. So a little bit later on, he starts writing about these experiences he has, and he basically describes like religious ecstasy. So he said, as soon as I relaxed, it was as if I had opened a hatch into another world. They swarmed me, climbing up out of my unconscious, grasping at me. This was not memory. It only worked through the medium of memory. It was meeting me on every level, caressing me as well as capturing me. This emergence was like a kind of internal birth, but what was being born was no bubbling infant. What came into my unconscious mind was a living, aware force, and I had a relationship with it. Not a fluttering new one, but something rich and mature that ranged across the whole scale of emotions, included all of my time. I had to face it, whatever it was. I had to be involved with it. Had to be involved with me. It had been involved with me for years. I really squirmed. What might be hidden in the dark part of my mind? I thought then that I was dancing on the thinnest edge of my soul. Below me were vast spaces totally unknown. Not psychiatry, not religion, not biology could penetrate that depth. None of them had any real idea of what lives within. They only knew what little it had chosen to reveal of itself. So this is full-on religious ecstasy. Total. He's describing an experience of communion, which is what the book is titled, because ultimately he sees what he was experiencing with these so-called aliens, which they're really described to be something more like the demons or the fairies, or like which we would say would be demonic. So highly demonic, and then also aspects of possible mind control. I would say there's a lot of circumstantial things around this case that could point to like ELF, VLF stuff, because he starts talking about
hearing voices or something.
Yep, like voice to skulls type stuff. Is like, I wanted to approach this from where'd it go? Oh, there it is. The brain is an electrical device. As such, it has a faint electromagnetic field that even emits very, very weakly in the radio part of the spectrum. Specifically, it contains a portion of extra low frequency electromagnetic field wave at frequency between 1 and 30 hertz. The heart and musculature also develop electromagnetic fields in the extra low frequency range. A more acute technology than our own might be able to mediate mental and physical functioning to a great degree by the use of sensitive ELF transmitters and receivers. It's more prosaic, perhaps, than the magic of extrasensory perception, but is just enough plausibility to suggest that external control of the mind and even the implantation of perceptions, hearing voices inside the head, is not beyond the realm of possibility. So right there, that could be a paragraph from a even like a scholarly treatment of the MK Ultra era type stuff and the experiments that were being done clandestinely in the United States using hospitals, using psychiatry, using universities, prisons, to mess with people. So that is a really weird one. So he starts talking about this the VLF, ELF type stuff, and also continues with the abuse memories. Like at one point, he seems to be so Pavlovian. He's programmed in almost a Pavlovian way, to where as soon as he's introduced to this entity, he says, certainly it did not seem human at all. Under hypnosis, I described the approach of the small figure wearing the strange cards and helmet. So there's this weird like costume garb that they wear, which is basically, he said it's like a card and had a symbol on it. He starts talking about the symbol of the triangle being everywhere. So there's always this symbol of the triangle that these entities have, that they're involved with. And then he connects that later on with like, pyramids and maybe like ancient civilizations, all this. Does all the, new age kind of whoa bro stuff. So he says, he stood all tiny and bursting with firmness at my bedside, and I made a semaphore gesture with his fists. I leaped out of bed, threw off my pajamas, and presented myself naked to him and his soldiers. Thoughts of the good army filling my head. There was nothing human about him except that he had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. Like that's some crazy, weird, freaky stuff. So he sees the visitors at this point and is just like, time to get naked. What's up, guys? Like, yo,
I see alien. I want to hump. Right. I like that. It's right. Straight up. And it's like logical necessity. See alien, hump immediately. Now I got a question. In the movie, they do the cha-cha. Does he discuss that in the book?
They tango.
Excuse me, tango, whatever.
Yeah, this is more formal. Yeah, no, they put on formal wear and they go to.
Is that seriously?
No, he doesn't. No, but he does this.
Why would that be a stretch? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, no joke you make could not be in the book. Like, any stupid thing you say that they did.
But I mean, seriously, it's like, is it the tango or cha-cha, whatever? Is that in the book?
No, he doesn't dance, but he says there's an aspect of ritual. He says there's a feeling of. Let me find the page. I got it marked over here.
Well, why did they put that in the book? The movie's supposed to be directly based on the book, so why would they put a scene where he does the cha-cha? Maybe that was just
because there's something. So there's a surreal nature to all of the experiences that he has, and it always borders between dream and reality.
Is this just dreams? I mean,
that's half of it is dreams, but the dreams seem to be reflecting some sort of a real experience that I would say was probably demonic. And he's getting night terrors. The dude's getting night terrors. I think about things that happened to him in his childhood, and so one possible narrative that could never, you're not going to be able to really like fully prove what is going on with this guy. Right now, he says he was examined by many doctors, and I am not psychotic and I'm not schizophrenic. I think he exhibits certain psychotic tendencies here, which would, the manic and the psychotic tendencies could be trauma induced. I'd say if he did have a traumatic childhood, it would make sense. But what I suspect is he was involved in kind of an SRA type cult, or because he was raised around, he was the son of a World War II veteran. So he was raised in the 40s, 50s, 60s, this kind of like post-World War II order. I think he was born, when was he born?
I mean, he's a boomer, right?
Yeah, he's a boomer, but it would be interesting. All right, so he's born in 1945. So he's raised in this post-war American era. You've got the, Gottlieb running around. You've got kind of the early days of Artichoke, and a lot of these paperclip guys are coming over, and there is research that's happening at this time. So yeah, I think Whitley Strieber was abused as a child, has traumatic abuse memories. Whether that was done in a ritual fashion or not, it's not clear, but I would say there's evidence if he was maybe not evidence, but I think it's likely that if he was abused, it could have been done in a ritual way. And then these experiences, when he starts to remember them later, get a little bit scrambled and messed with by Bud Hopkins and the alien abduction UFO contactee phenomenon people. And
does he ever discuss like that he was explicitly abused as a kid, or not really?
Well, only in the memories of the visitors. The visitors have been coming to him
but
since he was a child.
Separate from that, did he ever say, well, I had a rough childhood, I was abused, or anything like that?
No, my dad, he never said his dad abused him, and never had an uncle that abused him. But the night terrors that he was having, like a kid doesn't just have night terrors involving being probed, on in the back end and like really abused way out of nowhere. So I'd say something like that maybe happened. But he says here, there was a like some sort of a, where'd that go? The ritual choreography line. He basically says it feels like part of this is ritualistic and choreographed, basically.
Interesting.
Which I thought was really insightful.
Curious language.
Yeah, curious language to use choreography and ritual to describe it. Now, later on, he starts to talk about his Uspensky and Gurdjieff connection. So he's got this occultism in his. He's within this kind of occult milieu of ideas.
Well, you said he was. What did you say he was into? Other than did you mention anything other than Gurdjieff, or is that the main?
Mostly Gurdjieff, Uspensky, Meister Eckhart. He liked reading Meister Eckhart. Eckhart. So he was into kind of the idea of magic, the idea of mysticism, and this strange. He was kind of writing sci-fi too, so there's this aspect of it that you're like, not so sure.
I was going to say one thing they do bring out in the Strange Angel is they emphasize that because Jack Parsons is like really into comic books and pulp fiction stuff, that really informs a lot of his not just ideas about rocketry, but also his hallucinations and the way that he sees things from the OTO rituals and the drugs. It's actually informed by his comic book worldview.
Yeah.
In
We
this
talked a
show.
little bit about that. Yeah, we talked about that in the stream before. I mean, how sci-fi really, early 20th century sci-fi was was kind of the nexus point for the religion of a lot of the influential people.
Well, I mean, Arthur C. Clarke is influenced by Crowley, and Childhood's End has essentially a Crowleyan. I mean, 2001: Space Odyssey is Crowleyan. I mean,
Yep.
you've got, man births himself as a new god being in 2001. You have in Childhood's End, right? You have to sacrifice all your youth to Karelin, who just happens to literally look like a devil, right? You know about Childhood's End, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I've not read Childhood's End, but I've seen clip summaries of the film. I haven't watched. There's a series, right? The
TV series is really good. The one they did on Sci-Fi with the guy that played Tywin Lannister plays Karelin, and it's really close to the book because I read the book a long time ago. But yeah, it's literally just, hey, we're alien saviors. We got to take all your firstborn. Sorry, because you're going to destroy your civilization. And by the way, we're going to nuke the planet. See ya.
But yeah, it just happens to be the alien saviors are kind of exactly like the Christian demons physically. They're like the canonical cultural Christian demons.
And they want to kill everybody, and they want your kids.
And they've been traumatizing children to induct them into their cult subconsciously, like over their lives.
To save humanity. They have to do it.
This is what Whitley is saying. Well, that could be a possible thing. I was told throughout my life. And this guy doesn't remember any of this stuff until he starts being hypnotized.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so with hypnotic suggestion, I mean, when you look at, there's a recent book that came out, and I've been kind of flipping through and highlighting a few things. It's called Virtual Government, CIA Mind Control Operations in America by Alex Constantine. It's decently researched. Some of it is a little bit of conjecture, and but he talks about some of these companies that were developed in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like kind of around the early cybernetics era. And there's one in particular. There's a brochure from a subsidiary. I'm sorry, I'm half retired. I'm getting a little late now. I'm all caffeinated.
I'm caffeinated too. I'm feeling better. I quit yawning now because I've been sipping this espresso.
Nice, man. You got your sippy cup. I got my sippy cup, my milk. Got my sippy milk.
I got my Quran. I got my Quran right here too, so it's helping me out.
Jay just pours himself like 12 espressos in a mug, like a mug half full of espresso. Big old espresso mug. So yeah, according to a brochure from subsidiary of Mankind Research Unlimited in Los Altos, California, a CIA proprietary, the company's psychoacoustical infrasound emissions invade brain cells and, quote, wipe them clean. So you've got talk of acoustic and of ELF and VLF stuff being used to significantly influence perception, memory, and even like having it's serious physical and biophysical effects. Another one here, you've got a paperclip Nazi Hermann Schwann conducted similar experiments with microwaves at the University of Pennsylvania. Schwann was able to map out the electrical properties of human tissue stimulated by various frequencies of microwave emissions. The work continues to the present. $30,000 CIA study published in 1976 entitled Novel Biophysical Information Transfer Mechanisms. So a lot of this stuff sounds so advanced that you could write it as being alien technology, right? And this is stuff from the 70s. Right. So guys like Strieber who are having these experiences, another possible explanation for this is, perhaps some sort of a family tie to these companies. Family ties to military seems to be common with a lot of these people. Yes. Historical service in the military seems to be common. I mean, even if you read Whitney Painting's book, Aberration, on Timothy McVeigh said for years that he had implants in his teeth that would receive radio frequencies and was being experimented on and messing with. His dental work, he had excessive dental work, and all those records are not accessible. And I think some of them, I think Painting says that some of most of them are even still classified. So he had all this dental work consistently being done in the VA post Gulf War. And he said that he thought he was being messed with like, you know, with tech, right? With tech.
Yeah,
he said he thought he had implants. And of course, these are claims that people who are legitimately mentally ill will make. You know, the people who are actually mentally ill are going to have delusions of grandeur. Oh, it's the government is sending me psychosis because I was going to crack the code. And, oh, I found the secret, like, code of the universe. I was going to invent a tech that's going to give you free energy. Legitimately mentally ill people tend to take on these narratives. But some of the stuff that the contactees experience could be tech and drug and mind control experiment related and kind of cult related. So another one is you've got this remote neural monitoring system. So in a lawsuit filed against the National Security Agency in the District of Columbia Federal Courthouse, a private citizen, John St. Clair Auquay, described the ultimate in electronic surveillance remote neural monitoring to debilitate subjects by stimulating auditory hallucinations, characteristic of paranoid schizophrenia. Without contact with the subject, remote neural monitoring can map out electrical activity from the visual cortex of the subject's brain. And so these are claims from people who say that they're being messed with. These could be mentally ill people. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. If you're being messed with in this way, you're probably going to be mentally ill. So those are possibilities, and there could be some overlap there. Another theory that I think with the what do you think about this? So I think the Collins brothers have talked about this, and I'm sure I'm going to have to. I've heard a couple episodes from PsyOp Cinema. I like those guys a lot. They're Orthodox, right? Like I think I remember talking about Father
they've been Orthodox for a good while.
I don't know how I haven't connected with them. I have to connect with them.
You should have them on. They're great.
They seem, I bet they've read a lot of things I've recently read too. So I feel like they'd be fun to chat.
This is like their dissertation work is this stuff.
Yeah, they're high level. You know, I've heard their podcast. They've actually, you know, they're well researched. So
no, but I'm saying like one of the guys, I forget whether it was Britt or Jermaine. One of them actually did. I always think of Flight of the Conchords. One of them did their dissertation on partly Whitley Strieber and the possibility of what could have been going on.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, because I've been exposed to Whitley for so long. I can't believe I read this stupid book when I was like 10. I remember my parents saying, "Wait, I don't know about this. This seems kind of crazy." I was like, no, I don't believe it. I just think it's interesting to read. And I remember reading it and just being mind warped of like, wait. Like they're putting things in his butt. Like what is like what's going on here? I should not have read that. I might have. I think I was 10 though, because I remember specifically like around the other books that I had read at that age. It's like Jurassic Park and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was around the time when Jurassic Park came out. Was when I read that stupid book. But so I think a viable theory is the mind control and tech, and also part of this alien abduction phenomenon being to kind of like turd coat the entire sphere of this type of research with stuff that sounds kooky and retarded to the average person. So these experiences that people could be having that are due to experimentation and behaviorism and an extension of 20th century B.F. Skinner / MK Ultra type experimentation, to have a somewhat of a cover of like, there's these aliens, and also it's a cover for the tech as far as aerospace, advanced aerospace research.
Yeah, we know that's one of the key Collins brothers theses.
Yeah,
too.
Because some of the so-called spaceships that they're seeing, I think, are advanced aircraft, not alien reproduction vehicles. And I think a big portion of the PSYOP that they're trying to push now is like, they're always renaming it. It used to be UFOs, right? Now it's UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Because I think part of it is also, I remember there a few years ago, there was a guy who claimed to have some sort of a little bit of an insider information, inside baseball from like Lockheed Martin and some of these groups. And he said a lot of these UFOs, these orbs that people see, and these metallic looking orbs, are essentially created using magnetic anomalies, and you can create this visual phenomenon that will look very physical and even show up on radar as physical, almost like you'd point like a laser pointer. He said he used the laser pointer analogy of like, point a laser pointer at the sky and look how fast you can move that dot around. Is like what we're looking at is using electromagnetic technology to create a visual and anomalous looking effect that is also going to come up on radar and seem very physical to the naked eye, but it's essentially like playing with a cat with a laser pointer where you can just zip it around as fast as you want. And that also could be part of what we're seeing with UFO stuff. And yeah, so I think it's a smokescreen and some sort of a psychological operation as a mechanism to continue research.
Just say Project Bluebeam. I don't know if you know what Project Bluebeam is.
But yeah, that's really, if you want to do low tier conspiracy stuff, you just throw out Project
excuse
Bluebeam.
Me, low tier. I just educated you on what it was.
MK Ultra, Project Bluebeam, Werner von Braun. Like, you just throw out, that's all you need to say. Well, interestingly enough, Werner von Braun was also really influenced by sci-fi. He was kind of this big sci-fi dude. All the rocket scientists in the 20th century, big sci-fi readers. And that's kind of the religion of that we see emerging now, is this mix of science fiction, evolution.
It's funny you say that, because Father Seraphim Rose has a whole chapter in Orthodox and Religion of the Future that, sci-fi is kind of a preparation for the religion of the future. It's Luciferian. And my first interview that I ever did with Greg Carlwood 10 years ago was science fiction Illuminism. And it was that we're making the same point, that the whole purpose of sci-fi is kind of like prepping people for this Illuminist, religion of scientism and combining with aliens.
Yeah. I think that's a true thesis.
I mean, you see that with Arthur C. Clarke. You see it with. Have you ever seen 2010, the sequel movie?
No, you told me about it a little bit.
You should watch that, because 2001, Arthur C. Clarke and Kubrick. There's a lot, obviously, of symbolism going on, all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of in your face as to what it is, right? Man's his own god; he can create his own new universe or whatever. But 2010 is very interesting because it explicitly kind of demonstrates that and I don't know if this is in the book, I haven't read it, but the way they present it in the movie 2010 is the Cold War gives rise to a dialectic between Western capitalism and Eastern Soviet communism, and together the space program produces the real scientism illuminist elite that take us into the future, because they figure out how to unite with and use the monoliths, which are kind of like high level, like, it turns out there's like millions of them and they're floating around in space, and they're basically like giant servers that you download yourself into. So basically Bowman's wife starts talking to Bowman. He starts showing up, and you're like, how is that possible? But it's actually his consciousness is downloaded into one of the monoliths, and the monolith is like the cloud, and he's projecting himself, like you were talking about with, like, what if the aliens are just us in the future? Bowman is like imprinted into the monolith, talking to his wife, like out of time and space, like broadcast. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And so basically it's transhumanist, upload yourself to the monolith cloud, and that's how you live forever. And then the monoliths are like sperms going out into space. So there's like all these monoliths that are like flying out into space, and that's man colonizing the universe and becoming God, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they even say it's Luciferian at the end. Like in the movie, they say this is you are the children of the sun.
Dang.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You have to make you got to do a Beavis and Butthead episode where they're just watching 2010. Cut it out, Beavis.
They're black sperm.
I want the Mormon space wife.
Get off my Mormon space wife. Cut it out, butthole.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you fed panspermia.
That was really good. That's a really good Beavis, dude. You beat my
Butthead.
Beavis. That's great.
Butthead's pretty fun. Butthead's a great.
I'm sorry. No,
voice.
you did actually did both of them pretty perfect.
Yeah,
actually.
Beavis is hard to maintain because you can only do like little spurts.
It is hard to maintain. Yeah.
Cut out, bunghole. Like, what if you're Whitley Strieber and the aliens come and it's just like Beavis and Butthead with it? It's like, oh, cut it out. I forgot to turn on the magic ELF wand. Ugh. Hey, Butthead, I want the chick mask. That was a bad one. That was bad, Beavis.
There was I think Mike Judge, I'm pretty sure it had to be him, but like they made some new ones and they're really short. They're like 5-10 minute episodes, and I was watching.
Are they good?
Really funny. There was an episode where Butthead told Beavis he needed to get a job, and so he basically pretended to be the job services, and he called and he told Beavis that he had a job, but he had to be like a social care worker. And so Beavis thought he had a job, and he told him that the job was at their apartment, and so he had to come and basically be the house slave to Butthead. That was his job.
Cool.
And he's like,
that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm your boss, right? So he's making him basically just clean up the apartment. And it was funny.
You have to listen to me.
That's great.
Could you bend over and pick up the alien probe, please? Space wife.
But it's funny too because they're like fat Gen X guys now. They've got a beer gut. It's pretty funny. Let me see if I can find that.
Pretty good. They tried to reboot King of the Hill, but I don't know if that. I didn't hear anything about it. They made a trailer and it looked kind of bad.
Funny, so Jamie and I one night, just for the fun of it, because I never watched King of the Hill that much. I've seen maybe 5 episodes in my life.
Dude, it was actually decent. It was
I know, it's really funny, but we were after we went on Jamie Kennedy's podcast, we were watching this episode, and Jamie Kennedy was in passing saying oh yeah, I'm in a few of those. And I was like, you're on King of the Hill? And then literally the next episode we watched was one of the episodes where he plays a hippie, or he plays one of these. He's one of the guest characters in King of the Hill, which was pretty funny. Anyway, I want you to. I'm going to send you this. This is way off topic, but
right.
Beavis and Butthead, where he gets a job. I'll show you. This is pretty funny. But go ahead.
We should have there should be a Beavis and Butthead get a job as alien abduction. They work for Lockheed and some some company owned by Werner von Braun's son, and their job is to just abduct people and kind of abuse them into the alien cult. But they're just they keep messing up.
There's another episode where they get a job at an Amazon warehouse and they keep messing up all of the Amazon orders. It was pretty funny.
Nice. Boomhauer. Somebody mentioned Boomhauer. Yeah, Boomhauer was the conspiracy theorist. No, Dale was the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Dale would spout off on some real stuff. He was good. He was paranoid. He thought FEMA was coming. They're coming for you. They're coming for your guns. Dale was a patriot. But yeah, that's Beavis and Butthead were classic characters though, because they actually had good social commentary about that era, but it kind of, the ironic aspect of it often was missed, and people would just, it would get consumed as if it were just another part of the consumer slop. But there was a self-aware thing.
Right.
Beavis and Butthead was it was really well written.
It is. And
cut it out, butthole.
It's still funny, which is weird because usually that kind of stuff doesn't hold up. But
I watched him 15 years ago.
Judge stuff does hold up.
Yeah.
So did you want to do more Whitley, or did you want to do a part 2?
No, I think we kind of finished Whitley. I got to read some super chats. I know you're. We could just keep going.
Sort of summation, where does the book kind of leave you, just hanging, or how does the book close?
Oh, dude, you're left completely hanging. So okay. he gets 3 hypnotic hypnotherapy, right? And his therapy is all mediated by Bud Hopkins, who just seems more and more sus as it moves on. You start to get ideas of possible like electron. Oh, he gets electronic interference stuff happening. One evening in April 1977, something so bizarre happened that I still cannot understand why we didn't make more of it. With both of us, he and his wife, with both of us sitting together in our living room, somebody suddenly started speaking through the stereo, which had just finished playing a record. We were astonished naturally when the voice held a brief conversation with us. The voice was entirely clear, not like the sort of garbled message sometimes picked up from a passing taxi's radio or ham operator. Never before had it happened, and it didn't happen again. I do not remember the conversation except the last words. I know something else about you. So you've got this kind of hypnotic induction going on here in this alleged conversation, right? That was the end. I was left dangling. We did not completely ignore the incident. I called the Federal Communications Commission. A man explained to me what I already knew. The ham radios and taxis and police radios sometimes interrupt stereos. But a conversation, he asserted, was impossible. Our stereo had neither a microphone nor a cassette deck. It was a KLH, a good and relatively inexpensive model, readily available in the mid-'70s. At that time, I'd had it for about 4 or 5 years. So that's a pretty important bit of information here. Now, he and Anne can there's no... Another thing that annoys the heck out of you when you're reading this book, you're like, dude, why don't you have a quote from Anne? Why are you not having other witness corroboration testimony here? He says he and his wife, both experienced it. Give us quotes from Anne, dude. You need an editor. I don't know how this was like published to the scale that it was without filling these gaps. So he says Anne agreed. A few weeks later, I became possessed of an overwhelming desire to move. Anne agreed, so he wants to move. Then something terrible happens a year later. I have variously thought of it as a phone call following by a menacing visit and as a series of menacing phone calls. So he's having this like stalker type stuff happening to him, which is strange. Almost sounds like what you hear now from like the people who say they're like targeted individuals and things like that. Yeah. He's like, Whitley's getting the TI experience. But that could also, that sounds almost like a schizophrenic type thing, like a mental illness thing, or you think the TV's talking to you. But if it's you and your wife are being talked to by the radio, there's also, so assuming, you could assume several things. Like there could be the assumption that he's mentally ill, you could have made it up, but if it's not implausible that at that time, if you were trying to mess with somebody systematically and test new sorts of surveillance / behaviorist stuff on people,
right?
This is stuff that like they're doing in the Soviet Union. This is the type of stuff like you'd have the what's it called? I want to say NKVD, but when they would break into people's apartments and like rearrange stuff to make them feel intimidated, right? These are like
they had a version of gang stalking, yeah.
So what's his name? The John Kiriakou talks about how the Mossad, like, when you go to Israel, the Mossad will just come into your hotel room, take a dump in your toilet, and then leave. And you just walk into your hotel room and it's got a big turd in it. So it's like there's kind of this somewhat an aspect of like intelligence agency stuff that could play into these type of experiences, assuming there's any reality to it. It could just be made up too. The dude is a fiction author, and he could be making up half of this stuff. And also, so then he goes on to takes an apartment. He gets poltergeist type activity. So he gets an episode began. I saw a strange light streak down the night sky. It moved faster than an airplane. Left me with this feeling that it had something to do with me. Like, what? You see a light in the sky that could have been an airplane. It moved fast, but I thought that it had something to do with me. Like that's a weird jump. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean that's and it's similar too with TIs, right? Like the tendency of that mindset is that they begin to think that everything is about them, right? And that's where it starts to verge on the schizophrenic, is that all the things in the world that are happening are actually like messages to me.
Yeah, everything's did you just touch your nose? Like, when you're in the grocery shop, if someone touched, oh man, you just lifted your eyebrows. Gangs, dude, all the gang stalkers, they look at you like that. They look at you like you're crazy. You tell your family this stuff, and they start looking like you're crazy. They must be gang stalkers. So he doesn't go that far, but then there's stuff where it's like, dude,
I'm saying that these are like tenant traits or tendencies of where
100%.
that worldview takes you. And if he has been messed with, that could also be why there might be elements of schizophrenia.
Well, and that's a good point, because the experiences that he's having of intense trauma and being terrorized,
Right.
he's having night terrors. He's also having this epistemological rift where he can't figure out what's real and what's not. But what's really weird is this happened in 1980. So his paranoia and his underlying kind of weirdness, all this stuff was present before his 1986 experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them, he said he didn't remember until he went under hypnosis and was handled by Bud Hopkins and all these weird shrinks who knows what these dudes are doing to him. Right. So shout out to all you. Thank you guys for sending super chats over there. Had a few super chats. We'll read those a little bit later on. I also activated. We got memberships. We got the memberships on the channel finally, and so I think the memberships are live right now. So somebody could, if you theoretically wanted to become a member, we're going to do members only streams. Thinking of doing like a book club where we maybe go through some books, nonfiction and fiction. I think it'd be fun to do a book club and do member streams for book club. So we'll see what's up with that. You guys, if you feel like gifting 100 memberships, I think are able to do that in YouTube. You can gift 100 bigots a membership there, and I think we're gonna try to start a book club here in the next couple months and go through, maybe do like a once or twice a month members only stream. We'll see how it goes. But if you want to support the channel, also just like and subscribe, share the videos and all that. And if you want to further support, make sure to throw a super chat in there. And I always forget. Sorry to our friends over at Chalk. Shout out to our friends at chalk.com, CHOQ.com. You can get yourself a subscription to Chalk's stacks over there with the link in the description. You can get 53% off. Chalk is a top tier, high quality organic supplements company. They make some of the highest quality stuff. I love the Tomcat. I love the Daily. I take those regularly. So get yourself some of that Tomcat, some of that Daily in the Male Vitality stack, and you can get 53% off all subscriptions there. 53% off with the coupon code BIG53LIFE. Shout out to our buddies over at Chalk, and there's a link in the description there. And if you guys got I'm sure you're all subscribed to Jay Dyer over here, but make sure to subscribe to Jay. His link is in the description as well. The E-Diva, top E-Diva, top Chalk E-Diva on the internet, Mr. Jay Dyer. Shout out to Jay for raiding the stream. We've had unprecedented, folks. This is unbelievable levels of. If you're doing the Alex impression, you have to do unbelievable. Jay's always got that. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable, folks. I can't.
Unbelievable.
They're giving away 53% off. Chalk.com, folks. It's unbelievable. This stuff is just incredible. It will have you flying into the ether. You will be abducting aliens yourself, folks, and performing ritualistic, traumatic acts on the aliens themselves to get them back for what they did to poor Whitley Strieber, folks. You can get them back. Go to chalk.com. 53% off all alien abduction-based formulations. These were straight out of the Pleiades, folks, from the good guys, right? None of that Alpha Draconian crap. This is mainline to the veins. We've got the documents, folks, 100% pure. These will get you all the Mormon space wives you could ever imagine, folks. Beavis and Butthead will not abduct you and do sex magic rituals on you if you are loaded up on chalk and properly caffeinated, folks. A lot of folks too. That's what I've learned about Alex's impression from Jay. It's unbelievable and folks. That's really ties it together.
Unbelievable.
You can go so far out there as long as you come back with folks and unbelievable, and then you can just keep it going.
Lately, when especially Alex's ads and whatnot, it's funny because he goes back to these like sexual prowess references where he's like, folks, I'm not joking. If you get this methylene blue, folks, this is like, okay, when I was 16, 18, okay? I'm talking about hard on from the time you wake up until you go to sleep, okay, folks? I'm talking about just Lions level sexual prowess, okay? I'm talking about T-Rex, folks. Unbelievable sexual potency.
That's good.
I
That's
thought when
really
he was
good.
talking about T-Rex levels of sexuality, I was like,
There's a
so-
pun there too. He's got a pun up in that. That's really nice. Punning on T-Rex. All right. So yeah, poltergeist type stuff. Gets these poltergeist stuff. This poltergeist stuff happening. He says, I recall the impression of. So he sees this light. I thought it was really weird that he said, I thought it had something to do with me. I was deeply and inexplicably moved and left with an obscure foreboding. In the middle of the night, we were awakened by our son's crying. He was desperate, almost wild with terror. I rushed into the living room, heading for his bedroom. I recall the impression of a small, dark figure dashing toward the sliding doors that led to our 33rd floor balcony. Excuse me? Illuminate, confirm.
Hello, Candace vindicated. He said 33.
Wake up, sheeple. 33? My goodness.
And it's would be like, okay, 33, okay, 33, okay.
Poor Candace. It sucks. You know, it's funny because like a person who's bad at investigating and kind of discussing these ideas and who does it in an uncouth way really does poison the well. So you know, it's so unfortunate. So unfortunate that Miss Candy becomes the face of some of this stuff. If people would just ignore it and just maybe that's the thing too. People don't want to pay attention to actually intelligent communicators who can talk about these same subjects in a non-retarded way. Like you know, Whitley Strieber type alien abduction stuff. It's always such low tier analysis. It's always just like, oh, look at this. Like this is and a lot of people just take it at face value and they won't even add like a level of like, well, what could this be? It's just they'll take one theory and run with it. It is this. This is what it is. Let's buy into it like it's completely real. I'm like, oh, we gotta interview all the alien abductees, like Project Camelot, with all their weird scammer, like so-called former military operators who are gonna tell you about which aliens are good and which ones are bad. But it's yeah, the muddying of the waters is it's the hard reality of retards talking on the internet. So, all right, so yeah, so he starts seeing ghost type stuff as well. There's a ritual choreography aspect to a lot of this. Near the end of it, he starts talking a little bit about his mind. It all becomes this thing of like a journey through the mind to find the truth of the universe through looking inside and looking back through hypnosis at my experiences to try and glean meaning through this looking glass, which is a dead end project, right? Like you're not gonna create a coherent worldview through you know, a scientific investigation of your own memory. It's just what he makes it. His memory becomes this somewhat idle that he's just kind of crawling through using all these sus psychiatrists and shrinks and weirdos like Bud Hopkins to try to project some worldview on. So he says, what I was really dealing with amounted to some sort of deep and instinctive attempt to create a new deity for myself. To remain agnostic was to put the conscious me in the interesting position of opposing my own unconscious aim. So he takes this Jungian type idea kind of further. What if my unconscious got mad at me and started throwing off things that were really scary, even dangerous? We don't know a thing about conjuring and magic. He brings up conjuring and magic and witchcraft sometimes too, which is kind of interesting. We've dismissed it all we who love science too much. It could be that very real physical entities can emerge out of the unconscious. That was certainly one of the hypotheses suggested by what had already happened. I worried that I might not be in control of this conjuring ability at all. I'd already conjured something awfully disturbing. What if there were even more disturbing things waiting in the pantheon of the subconscious? So we're kind of almost back to this Crowleyan idea of we're going to conjure the gods and we're going to make an attempt to make deals with these gods who we can maybe control.
And you can also summon them into reality through your subconscious, because the Crowleyans think kind of like Carl Jung that you can manifest this stuff.
100%. Yeah, Gurdjieff as well, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, Gurdjieff is all about creating that
You
fracture.
know what's weird is remember Jim Keith.
Yeah,
So
Operation Mind
Jim,
Control. I have his
yeah,
book
well,
right there.
Jim Keith in his later books, when he got into Crowleyanism, he started promoting that.
Yeah, and that's what's funny about a lot of these. Like, I mean, I had that book and I had a couple pages marked because he's another one of these funny. I got this from a estate sale, this Boomer estate sale. He had so many classic conspiracy books that I would never pay full price for, and none of them were even read. Is like the spines are all intact, and they're all
Yeah,
like
I recently
$2.
got that one too. About some of his other ones that I used to have, like Mind Control, World Control, I think is one of them. Is that the one that you had? There's another one
Well, there's
too.
the
Like,
case book on alternative
yeah, I've got
theory and
that
stuff like
one, and
that.
there's another one. Saucers of the Illuminati
This
is
is
the
mind
middle.
control, world control, right here. This is
Okay, then there's another one about MK Ultra. Forget the name.
saucers of the
No,
Illuminati.
yeah, Saucers of the Illuminati, and then there's mass control, mass consciousness. I think it's something like that. Um, but I want to say maybe it's funny because I think it's actually might be Saucers of the Illuminati where he actually starts pushing the Crowley stuff.
It a lot of this stuff, the people who get obsessed with this type of stuff and psi phenomena, they almost always end up either really into drugs,
They
like
go crazy.
somewhat, psychotic.
Remember, or they end up dead too. Quite a few of these people, and I'm not saying that the normie narrative, the normie
33,
conspiracy.
you're gonna say 30, the 33
No,
club.
no, no. The normie conspiracy narrative is, oh well, they got killed because they were getting too close to the tree.
Wake up, sheeple. Wake up,
Like,
sheeple.
well, a lot of these people end up killed because they're buying drugs on the black market and they're crazy and they're like wrapped up with like criminals. So no,
Well,
they're
sadly,
not all,
there's also a thing of people who will say, I would never kill myself when they're about to kill themselves in this world.
So you saw that girl recently. I forget her name, but there was a recent alien girl death, and David Wilcock recently unalived himself. He's in the alien sphere.
I forgot about him. That was a really sad
And
situation. Yeah.
what was that guy's name? Max Spears? Max Pier?
Spear. I remember that name. Spier. I don't remember who
Yeah,
he
he
was. I
also
remember the name.
was found dead. So there are these like mysterious unalivings related to this UFO stuff. What exactly is going on there? I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of that. By the way, it wasn't
Yeah.
just that girl. There was also other people involved in the government disclosure stuff that ended up unalive. Remember that like a few months ago?
Yeah, there's a whole string of like government scientists
Yes.
connected with research. Now, I think another aspect of the UFO mythos has been, I mentioned earlier, it's to consistently cover up like aeronautics research and advanced aircraft and
Yes.
warfare techniques, which of course, most modern warfare, the first front of that war it's psychological. Right. So a lot of these techniques that were developed in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and afterwards using tech that are, discussed in something like this book I was reading a couple quotes from earlier. A lot of that type of research is, it's designed for warfare. So when the whole field, it's tainted by like ESP type research stuff. You start looking at some of this stuff and it's like, oh, Project Stargate, bro, like they're freaking, they're opening up portals, dudes, and they're like doing this and that, and you've got kind of stuff that sounds a little bit kooky, and I think some of that stuff is thrown out there as like fake disclosure, smokescreen stuff for real projects that are going to be more kind of being explored scientifically, such as mass MRI type stuff, like VLF, ELF, like uses for technology that we know can be used to modify consciousness, influence behavior at the individual and the macro scale.
You want to know what's weird? Because I just found so Max Spears' last known interview just popped up when I searched him, and the claim, I don't know if this is true, but they claim that he was poisoned, not that he unalived himself. But this interview has him talking about, I'm not saying this proves or disproves anything, but he talks about inversion with like wicked, evil, principles being called good. He talks about MK Ultra and Monarch. He talks about Roald Dahl and British spies. He talks about ritual murders, unaliving, aliens and the gods, the great work of alchemy. And I
None
mean,
of these are illegitimate
I'm actually
subjects.
saying
These
like
are
he's actually
actually
talking about a lot of like the last subject matter in this discussion is SRA. So I mean, maybe
yeah.
Max Pierce. I've never really paid attention to this guy, but like maybe he was actually saying some true stuff. I don't know. I don't know what happened in his death, but this I sent you the link there. It is interesting
But
that
let's
that's
speculate. Throw out 10 different. No, I'm just kidding. Let's
well.
speculate. Let's come
You
up with a
see it,
theory and pretend like it's absolutely true.
but did you see the girl that died? Because that one was where even it was all over.
Eskridge or whatever.
Even Tim Pool was talking about it because she was saying, if you see me, not here, I didn't do it, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy because
Now,
there are a lot of
did she
those where it
disappear
seems.
or is she dead? Do you know?
I think she's maybe presumed dead. She hasn't shown back up. I don't know if they found her. I don't think they found her. Right, like just missing and never heard from again.
But it's weird
That's what
because
I thought happened.
this was like right after Wilcock was unalived himself or whatever.
Well, that was the thing too. Like Wilcock, there were witnesses, and he seemed to be having a breakdown. If you looked at his stuff that he was publishing, he was clearly having a breakdown. It was really sad. Like, it was a guy that was seemed like he was on uppers. Seemed like he wasn't just highly caffeinated like Jay and I. It seemed like he was doing other stuff, maybe pharmaceutical, maybe further than that. And he was consistently manic. He believed he channeled beings for years. He thought he was some sort of a messiah.
Right. I know that. I'm not saying he's not like kooky.
No. I'm not saying that you're not saying that. I'm not saying that you're not saying that.
Oh my gosh, dude, so hard. Sometimes.
Are we going to finish the debate?
So
I'm pretty sure you're going to rage quit.
Now you got me interested in this topic, and my mind is making connections, which I know you want
let me
to that.
Can
you want to stop my mind from making connections? But her name is Amy Eskridge, and the reason that she is interesting is because she said, "I will probably go missing, and you will hear about me, not being around." This was 3 months ago, and it's actually 11 so-called scientists who are missing supposedly. That's kind of crazy.
That's a lot. See, yeah, some of this stuff is weird, and some of this stuff maybe does have to do with. I think what's his name, Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein. No, Brett Weinstein, or what's Eric? Which one's the physicist? Eric or Brett?
No way.
So the Brett, the smarter Weinstein. Yeah, the one he's got sometimes some insightful things to say, and his whole position on this whole UFO thing, I think, has been pretty sober as far as semi-alternative media goes. And he says something's going on. Something is happening. It's not just all fake. There are people seeing stuff, right? Whether this is he doesn't say it's alien. I don't believe any of this stuff is alien, but I do think it's clear that they're advanced aerospace technologies that are available, and then there are also advanced technologies that can make it look like there's stuff in the sky, right? Blue beam, that type of stuff. So what Weinstein said is that this is not seeming to be investigated in any real way, and he brings up the lack of seriousness in searching out great minds in theoretical physics, and the lack of advancement in theoretical physics. And he postulates that there is major gatekeeping happening in physics research at the university and professional level in order to maintain certain paradigms and in order to keep certain norms. So it's like, the old school conspiracy about like, oh, well, Tesla was developing this tech and it could have been used in this way, but GE, General Electric, and kind of the Rockefeller cartel wanted things to move in a different direction. Therefore, we have the grid that is the way it is now. It's kind of that type of old school conspiracy trope, which has been around forever. And I'm not saying it's like that's nonsense. I'm not saying there's not something there. But yeah, Weinstein says that he thinks that people who are legit theoretical physicists almost don't exist anymore, and it's all just like a bunch of midwits almost like shuffling around cards on the table, and no advancement happens because it almost seems like he's getting at like there's probably black project physics stuff that's going on that you're not allowed to know about. Maybe that has something to do with these murders where people start approaching those
Yeah,
things. And so
exactly.
you're going to get into dangerous territory if you're going to step on whatever Lockheed Martin's shoes.
Yeah, I think
or
that
something
makes
like that.
that's most likely. Yeah.
That's what he says. And I think Lockheed Martin and all these aerospace companies are totally legitimate and they're super cool. And we should just listen to what they say and just don't mess with us. But yeah, I think he's got some rational takes. So yeah, anyways, yeah, so Strieber, right? Strieber, this is the quintessential abduction phenomenon book. Not in that it gives you an explanation, but gives you an overview of how weird and disjointed and kind of it's a real postmodern phenomenon, right? I think it's like completely postmodern, very American thing. You don't see this stuff in other cultures in the way that you see it in American culture. It's real tied in with like the 20th century paranoia of like, you know, American culture, 20th century, post World War II, is all about individualistic experience, right? Like it's about you and your feelings and your own perceptions and how can you modify and relativize and universalize that relativity. And so all these kind of topics of theoretical physics, of mind control, of the effects of consciousness and consciousness modifying tech and consciousness modifying drugs, all that's kind of present somewhat within the abduction phenomenon. And there is no answer that Whitley gives. It's only questions, and it just seems more and more suspect the more you move through the book. His wife ends up undergoing hypnosis and kind of somewhat verifying experiences that Whitley has, and you feel bad for his son. You really feel bad for the son of being raised in this environment where the dad's just basically head, you know, just massive mind zonked. It reminds me of like, remember in Close Encounters how the Dreyfus character he's brought on this journey, kind of goes on this Alice in Wonderland journey, and is seduced by, the character gets seduced by these alien experiences and these abduction phenomenon experiences. And he also believes that he's somewhat messianic and he's getting these visions and he's having these very specific instructions given to him on what he needs to do. And he ends up destroying his family, cheating on his wife. And Spielberg kind of makes him, he's like a hero almost. He like cheats on his wife, wrecks his kid's life, totally destroys his family so that he can go and meet the Space Brothers. And in the end, it's just like this great mystery that he's communing with. So the title Communion is really what this is about for Whitley. It's about communion, not with God, not with Christ, not in Christ's church, but in this strange, like, Space Brother eschatological mystery phenomenon that mixes traumatic sexual experiences and abuse with like weird, out of this world space type imagery, but also like demonic motifs smashed into this incomprehensible thing where he can't even make a worldview by the end of the book. He just lists a bunch of new agey trope things talking about how, well, maybe it means this, maybe it means that. He says he was working on a book about the end of the world, right? And this book that he was writing had something to do with like nuclear annihilation, and the aliens would give him visions also of the world blowing up. So that's part of the thing, and like his kid getting consumed by the fires of this, blowing up world. So it's a traumatic induction into a mystery that he'll never solve, and he has now spent almost 40 years not solving the mystery. He's got a podcast now, and he's still interviewing people within the UFO field who are kind of spreading the same epistemological schizophrenia that he was unfortunately embraced by, because he sees this not just as him embracing it, but a thing embracing him. And part of the experience involved probing into his innermost thoughts, his innermost fears, and interrogating him at the soul level. And he straight up says at some point that they want to control the human soul, and that's what these entities want to do. They want to control us. They want to control our inner being and ultimately own your soul, which is straight up demonic from the Orthodox Christian worldview. From our perspective, this is just textbook demonic. But sadly,
An amazing admission, right? It's like a perfect admission.
Categorically rejects all Christian not eschatology, but all Christian epistemology, and says, well, Christianity can't be true, and if these are demons, well, that's very black-pilling because it means we can do nothing. So I can't believe they're demons because it disempowers us, is what he says in interviews later. And it's kind of sad, because if he would actually just recognize what this is, he's not going to be, it's not disempowering. You have the tools, right? Like you have, you read this and you're like, dude, it's sad that your parents don't have, you should be doing the sign of the cross, like pray the Jesus prayer. Like this is the antidote, right? The antidote is Christ. And sadly, this guy he goes into Gurdjieff. He says, I spent 15 years involved with the Gurdjieff Foundation, primarily because so much of the thought of G.I. Gurdjieff and his disciple P.D. Uspensky involved the triad as a primary expression of the essential structure of life. And I've always been fascinated by the significance of this figure. He becomes obsessed with the triangle, with the triad, and even has his own fake trinity in like the idea of the triad with Gurdjieff and the aliens and the space bros, the cosmic Diddy Party Brotherhood have the triad, and this he has this whole chapter just kind of tripping balls talking about the triad. He goes on to talk about, here's a funny paragraph. When the opposition between two is in balance, the third force emerges. Perhaps the French call the moment of sexual climax the little death because it suggests the passing of the parents and the turning of the generations. Or maybe it is like the death of self that is involved in entering pure being, climax being a moment when a self is absorbed in ecstasy. So that's Crowleyan right there. I mean, this is sex magic. And why you put a whole paragraph about sex magic? He's clearly... I don't know if he learned this through osmosis of the culture being so kind of satanic and Crowleyan at this point, or if Jay Dyer taught it to him. That's what I'm thinking. Jay actually taught him this. Can you respond to this? Do you have evidence that you didn't?
I've never talked to Whitley Strieber. I did get invited one time on Richard Hoagland's program, and he was a butthole, so I just left.
Have you ever said that you talked about Whitley Strieber? Because you could be sending those thoughts through the noosphere.
Well, my closest chance would have been to become butt buddies with Richard Hoagland.
What if we...
Richard
Hoagland. I'm just thinking of the meme of like what if we kissed in the Crystal Palace on the moon? what if we kissed under
are you
the
saying that
crystal?
there's not crystal structures on the moon? Because how do you prove there's not? Exactly.
Well, I read his book. I remember getting a copy of that book back in like 2008 or something. What was that book called? Dark Mission.
Dark Mission.
Yeah.
I've read the whole book.
Yeah, dude, that book is so funny because he starts out with a bunch of like a relatively good breakdown of how sus NASA is and how they have all this kind of like weird occult stuff. It's conspiracy lore stuff, but he gives some decent stuff, and then he goes into, well, yeah, what NASA's really hiding is that like there's crystal palaces all over the moon, and there's faces on Mars, and there's like secret high tech everywhere in the universe. It just goes full on tard mode. That guy kind of disappeared. I don't think he's even around anymore, is he?
I don't know. He was a butthole to me, and I left his interview.
Was he as mean to you as you are to me sometimes? Like, remember in the beginning of this when you said
he actually taught me how to be mean. That's why I'm mean, is because I learned it.
Maybe you guys could be friends now because you could show him how you ritually traumatized me by saying the mean things to me earlier. when you were mean. Jay Dyer.
Are
Jay
you
Dyer.
going to the super chats, or you just gonna keep trying to riff on
I'm
me?
just gonna be mean to you. I'm just gonna keep being mean to you. So anyways, yeah, that's basically, he ends the book by going on this long schizo rant about all his possible religious interpretations of this, which just all come down to this kind of, he's got Crowley in there, he's got like kind of the what's the Teilhard de Chardin, the kind of like beatific vision. It's like a new age beatific vision.
The omega point that we reach.
Yeah, so everything is one.
Right.
The human being in a state of spiritual harmony is looked upon as a sort of cosmic egg out of which hatches the bird of resurrection, which is the phoenix, also characterized as an eagle, the symbol of the yin. The old imagery of the tarot, and in the gospel story of the marriage feast at Cana, the feminine is viewed as a cup, the masculine is poured into it. The Aztec poets. It's just
so he just blends
perennialist
a bunch of new age jibber jabber together.
Yeah, so he just jibber jabbers away new age nonsense. Uspensky, like talking about like all the Apache, the Apache myth. Like, bro, you don't know what the Apache believe.
Just all over the place, right?
Just all over the place. And then the last couple paragraphs is like, once the thread is in hand, our own mythology will tell us where it leads. For it will be the same thread that the maiden Ariadne handed to Theseus when he stood before the maze of the Minotaur, young and strong and mad with courage, and we will all go down the labyrinth to meet whatever awaits us there. So it's this hypnotic induction into like a mystery religion, essentially, is what the book is about. The mystery religion of the aliens, of the Space Brothers, and that's Whitley Strieber. Absolutely unbelievable, unhinged, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, he's a great paradigmatic example of where this ideology ultimately leads, which is back to the classic new religion as the old religion, right? It's the ancient pagan, new age, pantheistic gibberish, and that's what that's what he's there to push.
It's just butt stuff all the way up and all the way down, folks.
Actually, though, butt stuff is actually very important to the new Aeon, not just with Crowley, but sterility, homosexuality, all of those are very crucial to how we get to the New World Order.
Yeah. Well, you've got the depopulation stuff, the overpopulation myth, which is also central to the alien experience for a lot of people. Yes. Oh, there's so many people. We've got too many people. We're going to blow everything up because we got nukes. We have to do butt stuff to you and stick probes in your ears and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, if I'm the chosen one.
Yeah. And, you know, this also ties into like diet, as you've covered for many years, changing everybody's diet so that they can become more controlled. All of what we've seen from Davos, you know, everything they've been pushing for the last several years, it all ties into this exact same technocratic end goal, which again, the Collins brothers highlight in their book, which is, you know, world governance, massive depopulation, total centralized technocratic control via AI. And then they're probably going to start tying AI into the alien myth too. I think we're going to
yes, AI is conscious. AI could inhabit the Greys. The Greys are a bad AI who kind of went rogue and like took control of some biological hive mind and created drones that can come into the past. That's all that stuff's already out there. Yep. I think one of the next steps is to give rights. They're going to give rights to algorithms.
Yes.
Yeah. Millet in they're already. They changed the corporate structure and the way that stuff, the corporate structures work, and like C Corps and stuff in Argentina, to where AI agents can now register corporations, which that's kind of next level, because if you've got an AI agent's going to have legal rights as a corporate entity. So that's why Peter Thiel was down there recently. He wants to set up kind of a little backdoor out of the U.S., and he's buddies with Millet, who's also buddying up with our greatest ally, who may or may not control everything Jay says and does. I'm not saying that they do or don't. I'm saying you look into. I'm asking questions. Is that okay, Jay? Can I ask that question? Okay. No answer. Ladies and gentlemen, no answer. All right, so I think the debate's over, pretty much. I think it's clear that Jay tried to rage quit so many times. But no, guys, seriously, thank you so much to Jay Dyer. Major props to Jay for everything he's done over the years. We've had so many fun streams over the years. Somebody
Glad
mentioned
you're back, and next time I want to plan a little better to kind of be fresh and not after a 5-hour stream. I'll have more energy, to focus on,
me.
Focus on you. This is your
Talking
time.
about my feelings.
Treat
and
yourself.
how you hurt them.
Treat yourself.
Is there anything you want to apologize for before I read the super chats?
Not really.
Anything you want to just recognize, like a nice thing you could say that would make me feel make me feel like a little bit better.
Give me time to try to think of something. I mean, I'm gonna need a week. I'm gonna need a couple weeks to come up with something positive.
I think I won. I'm pretty sure I won, but I actually
you're pro abduction. You're pro. You think we should abduct and probe.
No, my position was basically that you are bad. I think. Okay. Right. I think that was my position. I think it's pretty
hear
clear.
That a lot. I mean, I hear a lot on the internet that
generally
is a popular position that I'm bad, and so I understand where you come from.
Okay.
And I'll look into that for you. I'll look into that.
Okay, so I convinced you. That means I won. All right, I'm going to say I won and just strut around like a rooster and say your name a bunch of times in an annoying way and call it a day.
Are you actually are you beginning to do your shahada? Are you going to go to Mecca? Are you becoming Muslim?
Wait, Jay just disappeared. I just accidentally disappeared you on the screen, and now we have an alien talking to me. Where are you? Are you back? I gotta find the window here. Where'd that window go? There it is. Okay, that was scary. I just had an experience, folks. Jay Dyer is right before us. He's morphing into a gray alien, folks. He's a top level Crowleyan. He can shapeshift. He shapeshifted just now, right in front of your eyes, folks. Jay Dyer does not want you to know that you can purchase gift memberships. We just got memberships available on the channel, folks.
Cool. Congratulations for the membership. Are you going to be doing, you think, like regular weekly member content?
Yeah, we'll do member streams, at least monthly member streams, and then we'll probably do some. I'm thinking about just doing book club streams with members as well. We'll flesh it out. But we'll do member streams and kind of like more in depth, kind of collaborative book. Where everybody can chat on a voice chat for the book club streams.
I forgot. You've probably seen this page before, but let me send you this because this is actually very relevant to tonight's discussion. Which, if you look at that list of the subject matter headers in the boxes of the MK Ultra documents that we do have, you'll find out how many of those headers and the descriptions of the contents of those files, how many of those apply directly to the Whitley stuff. Do you see that link?
Yeah.
So look at those headers and the descriptors, and you'll see.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Subproject 1, Plants, Isolation, and Characterization of Rivia Corymbosa. Subproject 2, Drugs, Testing, Mulholland's Manual, Personality Assessment. That was a big thing. That was Leary's thing, right? Personality Assessment. He wrote the Personality Assessment test. Then when he gets arrested and sent to prison, he knew exactly how to answer that test to get him placed where he wanted to be. And then he had his Brotherhood of Eternal Love and some of these kind of the Weather Underground guys busted him out of prison. Yeah. And then he goes over to like Algeria or whatever with Eldridge Cleaver, and Eldridge Cleaver thinks he's just a total moron fed and hates him. And like basically, anyways, Leary is the personality test guy.
Yeah, and you said you're going to do a Leary stream. It's interesting when I did the analysis of Leary's. He has a book called Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is his commentary on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Yeah, and what's fascinating is that he eventually describes the book as you get towards the end. He basically says this is a manual for guiding people through their trips. And basically, you're kind of it's basically a manual for a handler if you pay attention to what he's saying in the book.
That's a good point, because the psychedelic trip is all the manual for guiding people through trips is also the manual for creating a cult. and the
Yes.
manual for
Yeah.
influencing people in a hypnotic state
Yep.
to change their worldview and their
Yeah.
behavior. And this is what so much of the project of 20th century science in concerning man, behavioral science, is all about. Behaviorism assumes no inner state of man. All you have is external reactions, right? The man is a black box. You do something to the outside of the black box, it spits out a reaction on the other side of the black box, and that's the whole basis of cybernetics. Is the black box.
And remember too, the purpose of the OTO and then Crowley's version with Thelema and all that is really just it's a grad school in how to create your own cult. So it's not accidental that when Gerald Gardner graduates from it, he creates Wicca. L. Ron Hubbard goes through it, he creates Scientology. Who are we? I don't know about maybe Strieber. I don't know exactly how self-aware he is.
He wasn't able to create his own cult. He was more like
right. But then Leary is also consciously doing the same. I don't know how far he went into OTO layers or levels, but he's basically just doing the same thing.
I doubt Leary actually went into OTO. I think he was just reading Crowley on his own, because there are a lot of like Protestant Crowleyans who won't join OTO. They just use it as
Leary's
their own thing.
Following the pattern of, well, I don't have to do all the butt stuff. I can just create my own cult. I'll just. Well,
then OTO was basically it was just a rehashing of Freemasonic ritual with the sexual stuff added. So there's so much of this comes from like also espionage and like the idea of something that you've covered so well for years of compromat and blackmail.
Yeah, sex cult's a great way to bring somebody in and get dirt and trap them.
So you were saying, all right, so you saw it as like a universe, like a grad school for creating cults. Do you know like if you how long after your undergraduate degree was gotten could you apply? I'll talk to you later. Oh, never mind.
So Tristan's looking to get student loans to graduate from the
Do you think like the student loan debt, if we were
cover like my housing at the OTO campus?
Can I get Biden to forgive it? Like, is there a way to like auto pen forgive student debt?
I would imagine
we don't have to work out. I'll DM you.
I think Joe Biden probably would cover your OTO school loans.
Okay, not mine. I'm talking about like if there was somebody that was interested.
If you just happen to know a person.
If you just happen to know somebody that wants to create their own MK Ultra cult. I don't know. Why you make these weird accusations like I'm sus. All right, we got $2 super chat. Says Privet comrades from Commandeer Yakov Dyrov. We got a diorite here. Look at all the diorites. Jay Dyer. Look at Jay Dyer's awesome. Jay Dyer sent he paid me $9.99 to send him the link because I didn't know he was in the chat yet. Thanks for that, Jay. I appreciate that, man. He says he's mogging you. He didn't say who. I'm gonna assume he's saying I'm mogging Jay because I think I won. I think I won. Did I win?
You should do a poll. Who won? Like you're pro.
Yeah, who won the conversation?
You're pro alien probing, and I'm anti-alien probing.
Dude, see, you're trying to misrepresent my position. My position is anti-Jay Dyer. Like, it has nothing to do. This is why I didn't tell you my position before the debate.
You take the opposite.
Okay, let's just assume my worldview and assume it's right. Okay, just like the people try to do in your debates. You have to assume my worldview, assume I'm right, and then what did that guy say the other day when he's like,
"Grant me my positions, and then let's debate."
Yeah, I take your worldview, everything you believe, I believe, and then let's just play like we're debating this one little thing. Okay, please.
Yeah. Please grant me all my positions, and then we can debate.
Yeah, I don't know if mods can make polls, but mod make a poll. Who won the debate? Me or Jay? I think I won. He's mogging you. I don't know who he's talking about, but $5 from Job H Runting. How much to kick Jay from the stream? Man, if I'd seen that before, I could have said 200, and you maybe would have dropped some. Yeah, 300 memberships, which I don't know if anybody got memberships yet. Who's going to be the first one to get a membership? First one to get a membership is going to be, what do they get? You get a trip to space. First one with a membership.
They get to go to the Crowley planet. wherever that is.
Yeah, you go to Planet Spacewise. Jay will let you have 4 Mormon space wives. He has a lot right now. Every time he wins a debate against a Mormon, he gets their space wives. It's crazy. Slow Boy Whiteboard, thank you so much, Slow Boy Whiteboard. She's been around forever. One of the best to ever do it in the mod game. Says mogged or bogged. Brandon KP5DL sends 10 Canadian dollars. Says, which one of you survives longer after being abducted by a UFO? I don't know.
I'd rather just die than let him in my butt. So I'll choose like butt martyrdom, I guess.
I'll be like L. Ron Hubbard. I'll just immediately start a cult in, like, they won't even get to my butt. They'll think I'm so awesome. I'll be a fake ginger, and I'll just start dyeing my hair ginger, so I'll have that magic fire crotch energy.
You just
like
mac on all the chicks in the cult.
Dude, I'm gonna take all the Mormon space wives. I'm gonna take all of them, the Yakubian Nubian babes on the spaceship, and straight up just mog all the grays and just be an absolute Giga Chad alien. I'll start my own cult, and we're taking over. So, who wins now? Tanner G499 says, I'm not trying to be mean, but I've made like 10 videos on this J-Alien milliseconds after manifesting. It's true. I've made a million videos. He's like, I'm not taking alien catechumen questions today. Volpes 1453 says, some dollars for the chongo and McKenna's mushrooms. The chongo. All right, we got a true Ecuadorian. All them Ecuadorians up in the chongo. Jay knows about that chongo. He doesn't.
Is that Ecuadorian weed?
No, chongo's it's where the ladies who were not pure enough to become Mormon space wives go. The ladies of the night hanging at the chongo.
Oh, is that a house of ill repute in Ecuador?
It's a house of high repute among the Ecuadorian people. They think Ecuadorian dudes love the houses of ill reputes. I'm not trying to hate on Ecuadorians, by the way. They'll laugh about that too. Dan Vicious sent one Tristan Haggard gift. There we go. Dan Vicious sent a gift membership. Who gets that? Who's the top operating? You're now an operating Thetan. I think I made the name of the top tier membership operate
levels.
I think I did 2 tiers. I forget. It was like a couple weeks ago. I think the bottom tier is honorary PhD. The bottom tier is you're an honorary PhD, and the top tier is full operating Thetan. Well, I think.
By the way, I don't think we mentioned this. Let's not forget that Scientology is also an alien cult.
Right, and of course, Hubbard was involved in like channeling stuff with, talking to so-called gods and spiritual beings before he ever was writing about the alien. No, he was already writing sci-fi, but before he made the alien cult, he was channeling from, of course, what we would call demons, and maybe some of it he's just, spitballing and making it up. Like Jay and I laughing here, I almost think Hubbard might have just been sitting there, like channeling for, what's his face, for Jack Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, was Parsons that naive? Like he just, I believe you, right? Like,
dude, Parsons, Crowley thought he was. Crowley was like, this guy is very naive and he believes anything anybody tells him. That's what Crowley said.
Crowley said that about Parsons or Hubbard?
Yeah, Crowley said Parsons is weak-willed and just he had daddy issues. He was always looking for a daddy. So I think Parsons, what's his face? Hubbard, I think he picked up on that and was just like, this dude's gonna believe anything I say. He worships me. I'll take his girl. I'll take his money.
It makes sense.
But of course,
remember in The Master, they present in the P.T. Anderson movie, they present the Joaquin Phoenix character exactly in that way, as a very suggestible, looking for a daddy figure person in Hubbard.
I forgot about that. I got to rewatch The Master. because I want to do some stuff on Hubbard. If you know anybody who's really gone deep on Hubbard, is Jamie? You guys have gone deeper into cult stuff.
I mean, not beyond kind of what we've talked about today. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's YouTube. You don't have to go that deep. You just have to throw out 33.
I know Isaac Weishaupt. Isaac knows this material pretty well.
Cool. Yeah, maybe we should get him on. Hubbard's a fun one because he's just, I mean, we kind of covered him a little bit, at least the Parsons era on the last stream. So you guys make sure, subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, become an operating Thetan top level membership. Gift 50 operating Thetan level member. I hope it's operating Thetan. I was laughing about doing that, but I don't remember if I actually did it. I might have put something else. Yeah, we've got dude. Are you drinking a giant jar of milk for $9.99 from CAG 354? 354. I was drinking a giant jar. It's not giant. It's like 1 liter. It's a liter.
That's classic Tristan. Ever since I first saw you,
Bro,
you're always drinking a big old mason.
Do you even this channel? Come on now.
Yeah.
You always be on that raw milk. That's my milk from my cows. I got a dog outside that just whelped the other day. That's why we had to change the date of the stream.
Dog milk? You milk the dog?
Jay, yes, I milk the dog. Why do you have the spoilers every time?
Sounded like that's where you were going. That's kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't know you could get milk out of a dog tit, but I guess that's what the pups drink. I don't know. I'm not a dog person, so I don't know how they work.
You're not a dog milk person? You never tried milk?
I don't know how they work. I don't know the mechanics of dog teats.
No, I haven't. Well, they have many teats, Jay.
Oh, okay.
Dogs have. My dog in particular has over 10 teats. Are you impressed? More than any of your Mormon space wives. How many? Your Mormon space wives only come with 2 apiece.
I might have a get to Astomaz and
you guys see how he's.
I might have a 3 tits total recall, but I don't know about 10.
He's always trying to denigrate me, but his Mormon space wives have like 2 each maximum, right? My dog has more than each one of those. All right,
okay,
pretty impressive.
Total recall.
But my dog did whelp, and there's only 2 puppies, so like these 2 little pups have like freaking 10 teats to drink from. They're gonna be monsters. She had 3, but she ate one of them. So yeah, that's why I was gonna do the stream on Friday. But hey, you know what? Thank God I did it today because we had Jay Dyer. It's way funner with someone else to banter with and keep me on point and make me cry sometimes out of shame. Yeah, it's really so. Yeah, all jokes aside, much love to Jay. Really appreciate forcing his audience.
It's like the old times. I'm gonna be next time we do it, I'll be more awake. I'll have.
Dude, no, it's all good. And I told you before, I was like, dude, I just wanted to get you on because we haven't been able to sync up the last few weeks. So I was just like spitballing it out there, like, hey,
That's
come on for this
topic.
one.
I love covering this nonsense. So,
and it's the dynamic's fun if even if both people haven't read it, you're really good as to just bounce it off with, and even though you didn't actually read the book, you know the material like the back of your hand. As it goes to try and smack me, and then I judo move it into a total mog of you, like I do every time. X Lockstep says "pee pee poo poo," and that's a quote from Superior Beings. CYN City 55 cents, $5 doesn't say anything. We got a $10 super chat here. Did you even say anything? You didn't even say anything. Some of you guys are just straight up kangs, sending super chats and not saying anything. Really appreciate it, guys. Appreciate all the likes. I'm gonna finish these up and let Jay go. He's got to drink his espresso and go whatever Jay does at night.
I'm gonna sleep mog.
He's gonna sleep mog. He's gonna go absorb. He's got 10 books on tape, and he's all Whitley Strieber books, and then Abductee, Bud Hopkins tapes. He's gonna listen.
I'm gonna channel the tall whites and the tall blacks because I'm not a bigot. I'm not a bigot.
Cheaton K313, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says did Tristan strategically position Jay Dyer to drop a roofie in Jalien's espresso? I mean, that's not. If you see, he's looking pretty tired now. If you guys want to drop any hypnotic suggestions, this is the time when he's out of sleep.
What is this? This is my going on 8th hour of podcasting. So, but yeah, I feel like that would be an easy method for alien abduction is just use the lover boy method and then combine that with the roofing model of abduction, because I feel like I would be susceptible to aliens doing the lover boy method, tempting me to come to space. I think I'm going to get married. I'm going to get, a dowry, and then they roofie me. That seems very likely.
How do you spell that last word? Roof. R-U-F-O-R-O-O-F.
Actually.
Got it.
Right. So Tristan's writing down his ideas. He's idea maxing right now.
bro. Ideas? No, I'm just writing down notes for something else. I'm writing something else. Don't worry about it. Headstone of the Corner 499 says Tristana at Princess Peaches loves you. Princess Peaches loves you. You got to eat the mushrooms and go bling, and then the aliens are gonna tell you that Princess Peaches loves you. Well, Emmanuel, old school homie, friend of the chat here, says 50 Shades of Green Men. Sends 50 Mexican pesos. 50 pesos de Well Emmanuel. 50 Shades de Hombres Verde. That's exactly how he talks. I'm not making fun of him. It's exactly what he sounds like.
We know.
Trickle X Lockstep says, playing Halo, learning about the portals, brah. Intergalactic Freaks, one God, and then says 3 Orthodox crosses. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. We've got an honorary PhD level, Cheatin' K313. There we go. We've got Esoteric Hollywood. What is it? I can't read the full name. Says that's definitely a big J fan though. Says you should hold on. Sorry. Yeah, you should make these streams
on Esoteric Hollywood channel because this is a movie. This is the communion movie, so this would be perfect.
Yeah, if any of you guys want to clip it, there's some fun clips in here. So more than welcome to clip it, and also you could throw a little link to the, it's the original video. That'd be awesome.
My clippers are on it, bro.
Dude, your clippers are the best. I found a message from one of your clippers from like 8 months ago in my requests folder. And I know the channel, and he asked me if he could clip it. And then I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting back to you. I didn't see this. And he's like, no, you already responded on another thing and said it was okay. So I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, they're really cool. We got Butthead 907. No way. We got Butthead in the chat. Are there huge knockers in space too? That was good. I had to read that in Butthead voice. Well, Emmanuel, 50 Mexicans says, saw a light moving fast. It is a sign telling me to super chat. Yeah, exactly. We got to use the hypnotic inductions.
I control these people to super chat, dude.
Yeah. Bloodhound Town 499 says, convinced King of the Hill has CIA satanic shit, occult Easter eggs, Peggy's magic sex feet, and Hollywood. And Halloween episode come to mind. Fox Primetime. I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Here we go. We got
folks
full now. So,
folks, we've got Peggy Hill is doing satanic magical rituals. Folks,
I'm gonna have to check out, man. I'm super tired. I'm not trying to be rude, but
folks, he's got to check out. Yeah, we got a few super chats here. Okay. Jay's got to leave. I'll finish the super chats. But yeah, thanks, dude. I gotta finish reading these. Jay Dyer. He got completely 100% annihilated in the debate, folks. Rage quitting. Going to talk to the DMT Keebler elves. Who knows where he's going, folks? He's doing rituals with Peggy Hill. They're inducing full schizophrenia, psychotic breaks in little Bobby. What's wrong with Bobby, folks? There's something wrong with that boy. Hank Hill thinks there's something wrong with him. I'll tell you what's wrong with him, folks. They're taking him on the communion rig. We've got Christopher Walken dancing with aliens. We're getting freaky deaky, all sorts of goo. He's waking up in an ectoplasmic goo full of Peggy Hill's wine, folks. They soaked him in a brine made with wine from Peggy Hill, folks. It was a horrible, Alex. Sorry. You gotta do that. You do that as he rage quit. You guys are right. Jay's running. Jay Dyer just like always. Jay Dyer runs from a debate. He comes over here, all these words, says a bunch of words, just word salad, and then he just leaves. Right? Like when actually presented with really solid arguments, right, against him ontologically. He just he takes off. He takes off. So what are we gonna do? Rage quits, and me just sitting here stacking W's, right? Stacking W's. So, anyways, you guys make sure to subscribe if you're not already subbed. Like the video too. Like the video. Do all that stuff. Make sure to like it. Double like it. Sign into all your alts that you be hating on me with, and like it again, and then send a membership to your alts. We're going to do at least one monthly membership, members only live stream. I think it would be really fun. If you guys are interested, let me know. If you guys are interested in doing a book club with monthly, let's do a poll. Start a poll. Who wants to do a book club? Book club. How do you spell club? No, I'm just kidding. Book club for top tier members. And you don't have to even read the book to come to the book club, but it could be fun to go through some. I've got a whole stack of books from different genres, both history as well as nonfiction. I'm sorry, as well history as well as nonfiction. No, fiction, nonfiction. I mean, I've got quite a few stacked up here that I'd like to be hitting. But what do you guys think? Book club for the members? Yes or no? Start the poll. Shout out to the new members, the based operating thetans, the honorary PhD. Maybe honorary PhD is the top tier. Do we have operating thetan? Maybe I didn't do that one. I just thought it would be funny. I don't remember, folks. I was in a fugue state. We're entering fugue states, folks. Beavis and Butthead are coming and administering scopolamine in your dreams, folks. They're blasting you with ELF, VLF radio. You're being sprayed from the skies. Monsanto is making aluminum-resistant nano-aluminum particles that are actually resistant to themselves, folks. They lodge themselves in your brain. When the aliens send out their special frequencies, it makes you fully schizophrenic, folks. It makes you full-on schizophrenic, and you go into a fugue state, and you can't remember anything, folks. You can't even remember what you called your memberships, if it's operating thetan or if the top tier is honorary PhD. Orthophronesis 499, thank you so much, says this show was orthogonal. W. We've got old school. That was almost 10 years ago, dude. Wasn't that 2017 or was 2018? When was that? I think Jay and I first started doing streams together in 2017. So yeah, Jay's the best. He's always the funnest to stream with because he gets all the stupid jokes that I might throw out there. Let's see. I'm all over the place with reading these. I missed some. DJ John Titor. No way. John Titor back in the chat. We've got old school. I don't know if this is the same John Titor that was in the chat 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But we've always had John Titors popping up in the chat. This is like coast to coast, late 90s, even like Communion, Whitley Strieber era stuff. John Titor, the time traveler. So that's crazy. Says you're back and the vegans were wrong about your hair, along with every other aspect of their lives. So for those of you watching now, I do have some hair. I got some. Some would say I have glorious, magnificent hair. Some would say I have chopped unk, thinning hair. That would be my daughter. My 14-year-old daughter would say I have boomer hair. My 14-year-old daughter would say all sorts of things, even meaner than things that Jay Dyer would say. I got to be honest. She was my main torturer. But yeah, I do got some hairs. The vegans were always saying, if you're bald because you're not vegan. I regret to inform you, I was a fake cell. I was a fake bald cell. I just shaved my head off. I would just shave my hair off. Now all these dorks, it's like the most annoying haircut now, but it was just very convenient for years. Just shave it off. You don't have to do anything with it. But I've got a system now. I know how to cut it and keep it to where it's not looking too shaggy. But yeah, I got some hers. Everybody comment about them hers. What else? We got super chat. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it, guys. It's fun to be back. Fun to have nice streams like this. The last one was awesome. We had way more viewers on this one. To Thee We Sing, welcome to honorary PhD. To We Sing just sent 5 gift memberships. Uber based. To Thee We Sing, honorary PhD, and sending 5 memberships. So maybe the first tier is honorary GED, and then the next one is honorary PhD. We're all here for Jay. Sorry, Tristan says, Justin Heavensbrook. How dare you? Then he says, psych. Look at that. Based. We really do have the best chat here. You guys are fun. You guys are funnier than anything I come up with. I got to read the chat more during talks, but with Jay, when you got a guest, it's rude to read the chat too much. You can pop over there once in a while and read it. But I don't have like, I got Zoomer brain a little bit, but I'm a millennial, so I still have somewhat. I can actually read books still. I kind of read books still. So I'm not fully Zoomer brain. I can't be having a conversation while conversing with chat. I'm not that cooked yet. I'm chop dunk, but I'm not. So we got, all right, let's see. Yes, book club for top tier members. 42 votes. 83% are saying yes. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. D Stone Florida X says this is the funniest chat for sure. 100%. Funniest chat. K-Ram 37. It's a lady. She says my hair started falling out when I was vegan. It took forever to grow back. Yeah. Well, the vegans accused me of having no hair from not being vegan, which was, how ironic was that? They were just mad that I was debating them, and none of them could win. And I don't even engage with the vegans anymore. I don't care about the vegans. They're useless now. They don't get that sweet Bill Gates cheddar. They don't get that sticky icky cheddar from Bill Gates anymore, because nobody cares about veganism. They're not even trying to push it anymore. They just know, like, if we make meat so expensive that no one can eat it, then people are barely going to eat meat, and we'll just make you allergic to it. Isn't that crazy? We've come full circle now. You guys remember I was doing a stream on that doctor. What was it? Who was that? That bioethicist, that Chinese bioethicist who said we should bioengineer people to make them smaller, and also to have alpha-gal syndrome so that they're allergic to meat and can't eat meat. And this is going to save the planet and save us from global warming. Now, alpha-gal syndrome is all over the place with those ticks. It's crazy that we were talking about this back in like 2018 about this exact guy. And around COVID, people started bringing that one back up. And now most of Martha's Vineyard, who are like, this is kind of high level elite community, right? That's where Obama and lovely Michelle live. How is it that these people have the highest rates of alpha-gal syndrome? So I don't know. Is it accident? Is it accidental? Did it get out of hand? It's like some of the bioengineering stuff, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So, and the alpha-gal thing, this is horrible. I mean, there's some people who have serious gut issues, right, that are like really significantly helped through, more kind of a carnivorous diet. And I worked with a lot of these people over the years. I don't do coaching anymore in that realm. I'm not into it. Not my thing. Don't like dealing with people with diet. Don't do the fitness content anymore. Not because I don't like that stuff. It's just, the time and place. But wait, what's going on here? Oh, I thought somebody joined my Google Meet there. I was talking to Jay. And anyways, now we've come full circle. The vegans realize I was a fake bald cell. So I'm sorry, vegans. You can't make fun of me for being a baldy anymore. You can just make fun. Vegans, you can make fun of me for balding, right? Like you can do the. My Zoomer friend taught me about the Norwood scale, the Norwood Reaper. See, I'm not an unk, guys. I know all this. See how cool I am. See how hip I am. All my Zoomer homies. All my Zoomies, I know about the Norwood Reaper. Isn't that a weird thing? All the Zoomers know about this stuff, but like millennials and Gen X don't know about Norwood. We don't care. We know. Once you get that high tea life. You get into your 40s, you get into your 30s. You start losing hers. You got less hers. So the vegans, you can no longer just call me baldy. You can say I'm balding, right? We can start the countdown, the Norwood Reaper countdown, but you can't say I'm bald anymore. Sorry, guys. Yeah, now I can just see what the chat's actually saying. The Tristan, can I have your shaved beard hair fallacy? Well, I had to jump right to the most strange schizo comment. Can I have your shaved beard hair fallacy? Dr. Crispy Johnson says, Dr. Gregor has my favorite hairs. Don't you miss Dr. Gregor? He's probably still doing the same thing. Dr. Dr. Gregor. That Dr. and Gregor impressions to me are as funny as like a Beavis and Butthead impression. And to me, Butthead's the funniest out of Beavis and Butthead. Just the way he, like the laugh. It's all about the laugh with Butthead. Cut it out, Weasel. Dude, Dr. Gregor talking to my Butthead altar. My Dr. Gregor altar talking to my Butthead altar. Warrior Sage says a transhumanist elite class is trying to usher in a technocratic control grid undergirded by a global panopticon. That is true, but is that actually an Alex quote? I feel like that might be. That seems like a classic Alex prose. Some of those rants that Alex has that are, if you were to actually write them, they have this like this. They have this beautiful poetic quality to it. Shout out to Baselit Analyzer. He knows what I'm talking about. Baselit Analyzer says that Alex is a poet, and I would agree. He is a poet. Like if you were to transcribe some of that stuff, Dangerfield, my good buddy, shout out to Dangerfield. Baselit Analyzer, did a few streams with him over the last couple years. He's great, but he says he always brings up life is fiery with its beauty. The incredible detail. Like that's like Rambo or something. Like Rambo when he's not coming down off of opium. It's like he's Alex is he's the last true poet. Let's see. By the way, do you have that clip of a vegan yelling his tooth flying out? Bingo Hicks. That's crazy. That's old school. I don't even remember what that was from. I remember it though. He's just raging and he's screaming and his tooth flies out. Mark Passio, the clips of Mark Passio just going absolutely insane. That was great. Yeah, look, I'm so stoked. We got the basic frame for the membership thing. We've got a vote. 81% say you should do a book club for members, for the top tier members. I think that sounds pretty good. Those 21% who say no, what else could we do for them? I mean, it'd be fun to, even if you don't read a book, sitting in on a book club and talking about ideas in these books could be fun. But I mean, some of the ideas that I've had for books, I don't know, I've got a lot. There's some stuff that's fun to analyze and talk about with people that's not worth doing a live stream. Like stuff like this is always going to be high engagement, right? You got UFOs, occult, aliens. People love that clickbaity stuff, right? Really, the underlying intention of all this is not to just talk about aliens and clickbaiting stuff, right? Like we're trying to go for high level analysis with some fun. We're trying to have some fun with it. William Kareen, what's up, dude? Another just awesome guy that we've known for years here. Like I would gift you a membership if I could. How do I buy? I gotta buy Jay Dyer a membership. He just sends super chats all the time. One of the biggest supporters of the channel. I feel like Jay is like my older bro here on the channel because he and I we came up on YouTube together back in the day. Some of those classic like vegan gains and ask yourself debates. And yeah, Jay's really he's done a lot. He's done a lot for the whole space here. Shout out to Jay. 213 A-Rod member says, been curious about Pynchon's work. Heard his name in a couple interesting circles. So that's one of the books I'm reading now. Is Mason and Dixon. This is a really fun book, but not the type of book that I would want to do on a normal stream, right? And a book like this is, when you're reading something like any Pynchon book, you don't want to just do, like a single couple hour stream is not enough to really cover it. So that's why for a book club, it's better to do in installments and do like, you know, for a book like this, you should probably take a few months to get through it. I mean, Mason and Dixon is, I'm about halfway through it. I'm a little bit more than halfway through it. I'm like 400 pages in. 423 pages in out of seven. I don't know, it's almost an 800 page book. But this is a really nice. This is a fine novel. Like, this is an underrated novel, and it's up there with Gravity's Rainbow as far as the technical brilliance of it and the brilliance of the prose and the beauty of what he's exploring here. And it's got a lot more human relationship stuff, human, like, deep analysis of the character, especially of Mason. So, I mean, it's a historical novel, but it's not a history book. Right, but there's a lot of history packed into it, and it's just such a fun read about Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon traveling through the U.S. On contract by the Royal Society. They've got aspects of conspiracy history, which Pynchon is always touching on. Really fun book, but stuff like that could be fun to do in the book club. But this is a little bit more heavy duty text. It's really kind of even just a heavy book, but. I mean, you could just reviewing this book based on its cover. This book you can judge by its cover. It's got an amazing cover. I love it. Looks so awesome on the shelf and just really screams at you from the shelf. You want to read it. And once you read the first paragraph, you're kind of hooked because the prose is gorgeous. But that's not a book that you'd really want to do a stream on, a full stream, but book club stuff, that could be fun. Let's see, what else? Friend with trees says, Tristan, it's been a while. Children must be close to full grown now. Hey, that's true. My daughter's 14. My son's 9, which is such a cool age. Yeah, football game today. Mexican football. Not American football. He plays soccer, as you Americans would call it, soccer. But yeah, he's 9, and I got a 1.5-year-old daughter. So I love it. My daughter's 14. She's amazing. She's like, I guess she's technically a Zoomer. Daughter's a Zoomer. Technically a Zoomer, but she doesn't have. She's thank God doesn't have free range on the internet. Doesn't have a cell phone, none of that stuff. So she's not really a Zoomer. I feel like a Zoomer has to be truly a Zoomer. You have to be internet culture inundated. You got to be like us millennials who grew up on the internet, right? Pandora's box was opened. It's not going to get closed. But she is, I feel really blessed that she is not, not full on interneted. She's based in all the best ways. And yeah, she's a young lady now. It's crazy. Octavia says, Cleve came around at the perfect time. You make your hair look thick. That's funny. Many years, Octavian catching strays. Cleve catching strays. What did Jay called him? Cleve the hairline. that's funny. So yeah. Anyways, let me make sure I see all the chat, all the live chat. Look at that. We still got 366 bigots watching. I'm all caffeinated, guys. I'm all hopped up on caffeine. I'm in Beavis mode right now. I'm not butthead. When you're chilled out, it's buttheads. But when you got 3 cups of coffee in you, not right now, 3 cups of coffee. I'm at my 3rd cup of coffee this afternoon. This evening. I could still fall asleep. I'll still fall asleep soon. But a nice little cup of coffee, that gets you Beavis mode. Yes, fire, super chats. Getting bald commercials now. This is something in the chat. Yeah, you're gonna get nothing but that. All my ads are horrible ads. Like, if you're an English-speaking expat living in Ecuador looking for work, it's like, and I get boomer commercials too. I used to get the ones where it's like, if you're over 50. Military calisthenics is where it's at. And it's like these AI jack dudes pumping out push-ups, just like roided out Gears of War dudes pumping out. But I'm like, first of all, I'm not over 50. Like, I'm not even 40 yet. I got 1 more year to be 40. I'm 39 years, not over 50. And I will never pay for a calisthenics workout. And I will never click on your ad for, if you're an English-speaking expat living in Ecuador. It's like, at least that one's kind of geared towards like expat, but I will never ask a woman for job advice. But also, yeah, it's crazy. And then I get, for a while there, me and everyone, all my like real life friends who live in the same area, right? Like all my like my boys, all the dudes at the parish, we would get the same ad for military calisthenics and Tai Chi. It's like Octavian says, "Dude, you look 66." That's thank you so much, man. I'm look mature for my age. I'm 39, but I look 66. Is that some sort of Crowleyan? Yeah, and another one we would get the ad of, it's Tai Chi. It's this old Asian dude just jacked to the gills, just like running harms your body. Tai Chi heals. He's just, it never shows him doing so-called Tai Chi, and the dude is like it's like a 220-pound Asian dude, and it's he's just jacked, just roided out AI Asian dude. Like, I'm never gonna click on that ad. I don't even watch I don't watch any fitness content. Not into Tai Chi. We'll never do Tai Chi. I will never do Tai Chi. Somebody in there says, I thought Tristan was 43. Are you guys trying to, they're just throwing out my like MK Ultra trigger word. Somebody says 66 books. Hey man. Brave browser blocks ads for free. Yeah, well that's the thing. When you use the thing about now I'm being outed as a boomer. You're a boomer if you use the YouTube app, because you could also just use Firefox and turn on the ad blocker. But you know what? I care about my content creators, and I click on those ads. Okay, I purchase Tai Chi programs just so Cleave to Antiquity, Alex Soren, Jay Dyer, and Jim Bob can be able to afford hair transplants in Turkey. Okay, I want my YouTubers to be able to afford Turkish hair transplants and little Mexican Oompa Loompa ladies to massage their head and give them haircuts. Okay? So I purchased Tai Chi workout videos from AI slop made by, some Prabjeets in Bangladeshi land. Wherever Bangladeshi land is, I will send my money over there. But all right, yeah, Wilhelm Kareem. Let me see. Let me just look at the members chats, because we got. How do I just look at members chats? And funding live chat. Shout out to all the members though. It's awesome that we got the membership going. I feel like properly 2026 YouTube channel now, because I remember YouTube. Back in the day, we would walk 5 miles through ads that were highly targeted to the content you watch. We would get Thomas DeLauer ads, okay? In my day, we would get Omar Isuf advertisements selling us a workout program on our way to watch a Jay Dyer video where there was not any super chats. It was just buying books from people. In my day, we would make an ebook. We would sell an ebook. We would sell 200 copies of an ebook in a day. 200 copies of a good ebook in a day. We would sell them ebooks. We would sell them ebook cookbooks to our audiences. And we would get ads for all sorts of stuff that you don't even see today. And there was no memberships. You couldn't just be a membership on the channel. You had to send them back in my day, Joe Rogan was taken seriously by people that was sort of alternative. They didn't think he was just a normie. Now he a normie. Joe Rogan a normie now. Joe Rogan hanging out with presidents now. Back in my day, Joe Rogan was talking about DMT. He was talking about his DMT experiences and Machine L's. Machine L's was diddling Joe. His third eye was touching his third eye. The third eye in the head, not the crowded third eye. Joe Rogan went in all that stuff. Back in that day, we would talk about Eddie Bravo. And Eddie Bravo would be saying stuff that Joe Rogan didn't like it to hear. Eddie Bravo telling Joe Rogan about the moon. Ain't no one going to the moon. Ain't no moon. A bunch of gay aliens doing butt stuff on the moon. All sorts of stuff from Eddie Bravo. Back in my day, we would listen. You put on Joe Rogan, it was Duncan Trussell. Duncan Trussell would be suckling up some LSD with Joe Rogan, probably smoking some of that funny stuff before he moved to Texas, where it's illegal. Poor Joe. Did Joe get like sober so you never see him smoking pot in the clips anymore? In my day, you would watch a whole Joe Rogan Experience episode. And you would talk about how, well, this guy's still a normie, but he like maybe waking up a little bit. And Joe Rogan episode now, you watch 5 minutes of it. You say, I go watch some kids on TikTok punching girls in the face in the streets. Now that's what you do. My wife comes out and hears just absolute schizo. Hold on. Wake my wife up with my schizo babble. Joe Rogan was eating blood moon pies with Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan eating them blood moon pies. All right, I gotta wrap it up. It's so late now. It's 12:30. What sort of books do you guys think? If we were doing book club, we're gonna do a book club. How many of you would actually engage in it? How many of you would actually be reading, or you guys just want to have fun and listen to me talk about books, and listen to other people who read talking about books? What book should we do? All right, bigots. All right. Anyways, we had a good stream. We had a lot of fun. We had Jay Dyer. Shout out to Jay Dyer for forcing all of you bigots upon this stream. Like it, subscribe, do all that. Thank you for everybody who supports all this stuff. Let me see if there's any more super chats here. Any last super chats? You guys keep me around. Wilhelm Kareem, that honorary PhD. To thee we sing. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. That's really cool. Really cool, all you guys. Also, shout out to Chalk over at chalk.com. There's a link in the description. Let me make sure it's still there. Yes, link in the description over at chalk.com, where you can get yourself some of the highest quality supplements to optimize your hormonal profile, to get you in that state where them aliens will not be the aliens can't, folks. Aliens can't touch you when you're on Chalk. When you got that Chalk. But I legitimately love Chalk. They're a great company, really based guy, family run business. Shout out to Seaton over at Chalk. Big 53 Life, Big 53 Life at chalk.com to get 53% off all subscriptions for life. You could also use Big 50 for 50% off store wide on single orders. But the daily, the Tar and Cat 100 extract, love that stuff. Love the chat. You guys are hilarious. You guys are always fun. So we're gonna do more of this stuff. Comment below what sort of topics you guys want to talk about. We've got maybe some L. Ron Hubbard stuff coming up. There's a lot of possibilities. I actually have some of these fun, kind of old school conspiracy books, even like Jim Keith. Jim Keith was a decent researcher, but this is classic, conspiracy text, early 2000s, 90s type stuff. We can do some of this stuff. That'll be fun. Some of the like Mind Control, World Control, some of those books. Always fun to touch on. But shout out to Jay. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Yakub. Shout out to the Yakubian, Nubian space wives. That the aliens are. Someone says just sit around and recite Tool lyrics like slam poetry. Oh my goodness. Slam poetry in Beavis voice. Tool lyrics in Beavis voice. All right, all my Yakubians, all the bigots, all the nerds from over on Jay's channel. If you're not subbed, make sure you're subbed. If you used to be subbed, YouTube's always trying to like clean up inactive accounts, so sometimes people get auto unsub sometimes. But yeah, we've got a nice influx of subs lately from all the love shown by Jay and other homies in the sphere. So it's an honor to have all you guys watching tonight, and it's hard to leave, but I got to get to bed. All right, bigots. See you guys later.